Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everyone this evening? I'm joined by Carmine early here. He was like being funny with me because I was like Carmine. I was like, "Are you going to be at the beginning of the stream? I got some things I want to talk to you about as part of the topic." And then he's like, "I got to run some errands." I was like, "What? No, no." How you doing though? I will get
Surviving,
to
living, the
comments and
usual.
everything, but part of this is the topic we're talking about tonight, and which is about different show plots. We've talked about this a little bit with on our most recent podcast, but different show plots that at the time we thought these were like crazy and stupid and that George would never do that sort of thing. But I think over time we've opened up with the idea that like actually most of the plots, if not all of the plots in the show might have been George's idea. Like do you think that's too far to say, Carmine?
I would go as far as saying they were his original ideas,
Original
but
ideas
no longer. Yeah.
that he changed them. So I want to talk
hmm
about a few of these things, a few of these show plots. This is I made a it's not an exhaustive list here. It's but um, of various things that happen in the show. Um, some of them people think would never happen in the books. Some are impossible to happen in the books, but I think some of them are interesting in that these may have been George's ideas anyway, at least in an earlier draft of his book. So, for example, like Stannis losing to Ramsay. Do you think that's going to happen in the book?
Before you start, there are three
Yeah.
things you should probably check off immediately because George pretty much confirmed they're going to happen no matter what, which
Yeah.
is Shireen burning, hold the
Hmm.
door, and Bran is king. So, how do we get to Shireen being burned?
Well, that's the
Uh,
thing
I,
but this
hmm,
is the thing. If we're talking about George's original ideas before, he's still kind of and he tells D&D this. But then he writes himself into a point that's impossible logistically. What are we supposed to do? Like all of
I
these
see your
things are
point.
correct.
Yeah.
Like Stannis losing to Ramsay. There is a small seed of in the Theon sample chapter for wins of Stannis being pretty arrogant. Like, why should I fear Ramsay? That makes you kind of go, oh, maybe he is gonna lose to Ramsay. Um, but like Stannis burning Shireen is weird because it's he specifically told D&D, but it seems really logistically unlikely. You know, like Stannis somehow has to win, and like how does Stannis both lose against Ramsay and make it back to the wall to execute Shireen? It all of like he has to somehow win, make it to the wall, come back, lose to Ramsay. Like it's so much time. It's logistically really unlikely, and yet it does seem like these kind of are George's ideas.
There is a one way I can think of is that Stannis loses to Ramsay initially, and then
Mhm.
after that big battle, Stannis withdraws, licking his wounds. He wants to go back to the wall, and at the same time, news reaches the wall that Ramsay won, and he now wants Selyse and all of the other Stannis supporters at the wall. And with all the chaos at the wall, Selyse realizes she has to take her family and they have to leave. And maybe they meet up halfway with Stannis, and there it is.
Yeah, but it's also so weird, like the because in the show it's very specific that they're sacrificing Shireen for good weather, and they've already sacrificed people for like weather. Like the storm already happened. Are you gonna have another storm? And another sacrifice, and
What are you thinking? Shireen goes to bring back Jon?
I think it's just one of those things that like George planned and then he wrote and he's stuck. Like the thing is, like we're assuming that George is going to work this out. I don't know if George is going to work this out because, like, how do you logistically have all of that happen? Like, it just doesn't seem possible. Um,
I like this comment here. Quentin is alive in the show, so he must be alive in the books.
well, he kind of never existed, um, right, or something.
And
I
as
don't know.
such, he could never.
I lost you there for a second, Carmine.
I said, as such, if he never existed, he could never die. Therefore,
Yeah,
yeah, there you
that's
go.
true. Okay, another one that I think is a little weird is Brienne kills Stannis, and I think that like in Clash, when Brienne becomes attached to Catelyn, she specifically says, "You can never stand in my way on my mission to kill Stannis." And Catelyn's like, "I won't," And you're like, "Oh, so this eventually down the road, we're gonna like deal with this plot of Brienne
Clever,
killing
yeah.
Stannis." But logistically, they're just nowhere close on the map, and I just can't see Brienne ever making it to the north to kill Stannis in the end.
Every single chapter of Winds, if it ever does come out, has to have major developments where characters are essentially jetpacking all over the place for them all to be in position to line up with the show.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where, like, again, like I think George thought about this and maybe even planned it and told D&D that. And but then when he finally wrote A Feast for Crows, A Dance with Dragons, like it was impossible. Logistically, it cannot happen.
So I'll say this: Stannis losing to Ramsay, that's almost certain. Brienne killing Stannis, very unlikely. Feels more like show fanfic than anything.
Yeah. Ilaria usurps Dorne. Myrcella killed by the Dornish. There's a little bit of some people were very angry about the Ilaria thing because they're like, but Ilaria's personality is the exact opposite of that in the Watcher chapter. And I was like, you're right, but at the same time, like she puts her spy Elia in and attaches her to Ariane's like journey, and spreads her children around, which seem to be like their spies to me. So I'd say that like it's not unheard of that Ilaria could do this, or that Myrcella could be eventually killed by the Dornish or something like that. Somebody like, especially with like Doran going around telling everybody these lies about how Cersei meant to kill Trystane and stuff like that. You'd think that somebody could easily be like, "Fuck, I'm just going to kill Myrcella then," that would just be a possibility. Do you think this is possible?
Yes, Ilaria hiding her true intentions, the viper in the grass. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, if she is Oberyn's woman. Um, Dany with the Dosh Colleen, I think this is pretty certain that this was happening.
Yeah.
This was we have a vision of this. I think that everything that I think that Dany getting captured and going back and joining the Dosh Colleen and then rising to the top of the Dosh Colleen. The thing is in the books we're specifically told that the Khals already follow the Dosh Colleen, and then which doesn't really make sense. The show actually makes more sense where they're like, yeah, supposedly, but in reality, no, that the Khals like rule. Come on. But yeah, this seems very likely that she could just, burn all that she could burn all the Khals in a red wedding kind of situation, just like she does in the show, and take over as the head of the Dosh Colleen. Like that all makes sense to me.
I agree.
Jon Resurrection leaving the Watch.
When it comes to our main characters like Dany and Jon, I feel like the show is pretty much following the template George set out. When it comes to like secondary or third characters or background characters, it's a toss up.
So
So
you're
for
gonna
Jon,
say
Dany,
that like
Tyrion,
of all of the people that they would not stray from the path on, it would be Jon and Dany.
Jon, Dany, Bran, Arya.
Mm.
I could see them straying with like Jamie. Like I can't imagine. like Brienne killing Stannis. Like it's just she's so far from that, and the story, her chapters would have to move at breakneck pace to just
Yeah.
catch up with where Stannis is. I
Yeah.
just can't see her entering the north, especially with winter coming. I just can't see
And
that.
getting access to him and all of that. Yeah.
Right, but Dany with the Dosh Colleen, that makes a lot of sense. Jon being resurrected, 100%. That makes
Him
a lot of
leaving the
sense.
watch with that loophole that fans always talked about. Like, do you think that
It is
I
clever.
have this watch until my death is like the whole joke the whole time?
It's clever. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Okay. Sam going to Horn Hill and stealing the sword. I mean, it seems he's near Horn Hill now. The Ironborn are going to attack Old Town. It seems fairly likely that he would flee to Horn Hill. I don't know if his dad's sword is on his dad or like we never hear about the sword that Randall carries. He should carry it, but it's weird if Randall leaves it at home. But does Sam get the sword? I don't know. Any opinions on this one?
Do we know for a fact that the sword is in Horn Hill?
No,
I
we
would
have no
imagine,
idea where the sword is.
right? So I would imagine Randall Tarley would have him there.
He should. It's really weird. What? It's Heartsbane, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because right now he's in King's Landing.
Okay, he wears it with Renly. And then it says that he has it at Maidenpool. So, okay, on the map, it's just Randall is way too far from Sam. It seems very logistically unlikely. But this is one of those things where, like, well, if Sam was going to escape Horn Hill, maybe at some point, like, George thought he was going to like face his father and steal this sword, to get a Valyrian sword to the wall and stuff like that. Another Valyrian sword to the wall. It could have been George's plan, but logistically, this is just impossible. Randall has the sword, and Randall is in King's Landing, and Sam is in Old Town, and they are just too far from each other.
The only way I could possibly see this is that Randall Tarley has to hurry back home because the Ironborn invasion of the Reach has been way too successful, and he has to defend his lands. They've overtaken Old Town. They're just spreading further into the Reach, raping and killing and looting, and he just needs to go back. That's how I could see Sam getting to Horn Hill.
Yeah. Randall has to move at breakneck speed. Randall has to, considering
see what I mean?
Yeah.
These jetpacks are starting to make me nervous, right? Because what if it's not David Dam? What if it's George?
Maybe it's George. You're right, to get these plot points going. Because George thought he had years and years and years, and this was going to be a multi-generational story and all of this crap, now it's not. There's like maybe a year left in the story, Arya versus the Waif. Do you think any of that is in?
That one's a bit more difficult, but that one I can't. Arya's story I can't really tell because the show version is so fucking dumb. But I don't know. That's a toss-up. I don't know. Her leaving Bravos.
The Waif doesn't seem that important to me. I don't know. Maybe.
No, but she has to leave Bravos eventually, right? So
yeah,
she can't be a rogue agent.
This Arya versus the Waif, I could see as show only. Like, legitimately. I think this is the first one so far that I'm like, that doesn't seem like George. Like, all the rest of them seem like this could have been a George idea that he communicated to D&D and they aborted it. As George wrote the books, things changed a little and made them impossible. But Arya versus the Waif is just so... That's not how the Waif has been established. There's no hint of any rivalry between them. So I just don't know if I see that at all. While the show firmly establishes that the Waif hates Arya and they have a rivalry. And there's just none of that in the book, like zero. So this is the only one where I'm just like, this seems like
was there any legitimacy to the Waif hating Arya? She just hates her for no reason.
Right? Doesn't she in the show?
I maybe though I think it's because the Waif can sense that Arya is not serious about being a faceless men assassin, which okay, fine, and the Waif is super into it, but I don't know, it felt kind of forced thinking back on it. I'm sorry, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The Umbers catch Rickon.
Last Hearth is it is close to Skagos, so
right. Like they come back
Davos,
from Skagos and then they get captured by the Umbers, and like,
well, with Ramsay solidifying his position as the dominant person in the north, if he decides to kill Roose Bolton, the Umbers and all the other houses are watching this battle between Stannis and Ramsay to see who wins. The Umbers could give him Rickon as a gift.
Yeah, I mean, like especially we know that Mor's Umber dies from the Asha fragment.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leaves okay, so right now what we've got, Mors is dead. Hothar is inside, so Hothar could easily just, and Hothar is supposedly on the Bolton side. He could just stay on the Bolton side. And all of these theories of Hothar like betraying the Boltons are wrong, and that actually like Hothar is just gonna is completely on Team Bolton. I'm trying to think like Small John. Small John is dead, and Great John is still alive. But it kind of doesn't matter. I don't know. You could easily, rather than it being Small John, it could be Hothar. Like, and he somehow, like, the Umbers get him, and Hothar is fine with that. You know, like, I could totally see this happening.
Yeah. Davos gets Rickon, and as they're leaving Skagos, they get captured by Umber men. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like they get to East Watch, they start their travel back south, and like, you know, he gets captured. Hold the Door.
All but confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Hold the Door, but also like everything about it, like him, like they mention a back door in A Dance with Dragons. Like they mention a back door. So like it seems like there's a fucking door. And
real quick. Yeah. I kind of want to add a bit to the Umber catch Rickon thing, because you mentioned Eastwatch. They go to Eastwatch thinking they'd be safe because last time Davos checked, Stannis was, Stannis and Jon Snow. This is his brother. They can't stay there because Lord Commander Jon Snow has just had a mutiny on his hands. So the Watch is not really safe for any of Jon's relatives. So they got at least Eastwatch captured by Umbers. Sorry. I just wanted to add that in there. Hold the Door, yeah.
Pretty much. Okay, here's some weird ones. These are going to be trials by combat canceled. Cersei never getting a trial by combat.
That would be weird because with Robert Strong on her side, it's all but confirmed that she's going to win. So
yeah, or like all like the excitement, like why would you remove such an exciting thing that everybody's looking forward to, this trial by combat? And I always say, like, wouldn't it be a really sad gut punch if the Faith chooses Lancel as their champion and she has to watch Robert Strong like kill Lancel? Like, you know, or things like that.
Why would the Faith choose Lancel? Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you said Loras. I'm sorry. I got them too confused. Continue.
This is one I just couldn't, just because on an entertainment sense, like why would anyone cancel the trials by combat? Like that's just so disappointing.
The High Sparrow could do some bullshit where he knows she's gonna win with Robert Strong as her champ. She knows, so he's gonna do some other type of way to.
Oh, I mean that all makes sense. That's all logical. I'm not saying the show is kind of logical with it. Like why would they put anyone against the Mountain? But at the same time, like that's not fun. You know. we love trials by combat. That's like the fucking fun part of of the books. Why would they do it? This is one where it seems like the show was trying to get stuff done cheaply or something, and just cancel the trial by combat. It's hard for me to believe that there wouldn't be a trial by combat. We love the fucking trials by combat. Okay, we have so many. There's the Vale with Tyrion, and then Sandor's trial, and Oberyn versus the Mountain. Like, we fucking love trials by combat. Why would you cancel one? All right, the Exploding Sept. I think
That's all guaranteed, because in Feast, doesn't she burn the Tower of the Hand?
She does, and there's all the hidden caches of Wildfire. The Wildfire. The only thing that's weird is that the one cache beneath the Sept was already found. That's the only thing that's a little weird. That the only place that's actually safe from explosion in the whole city is the Sept, unless she just moves the stuff back, obviously. But like, it seems like. It's also such a bold move that I can't see D&D doing it on their own. Having the Sept like blow up.
It does remove a lot of players from the game. Yeah. Like in the show, it was Marjorie, Mace Tyrell,
Yeah.
most of the. I'm assuming the Tyrell cousins.
I also think it's like it's. You're killing God, the death of religion. Like, I think there's like symbolic element to that. When you're talking about the pursuit for free will and things like this, these themes of the book that many people would be like, you're reading too much into it, Preston, and I'll be like, I don't know, man. I think that like it represents it, like thematically it fits so well as well. Arya mass killing Freys. What do you think?
I feel like that's more fan fiction than anything. Very rarely in our story do
Red Wedding 2.0 and all of that.
I feel like that's more fanficky than anything.
Yeah,
because Arya was a fan favorite, so they're giving her a lot of cool stuff to do.
Right. I mean, a lot of people believe in this Red Wedding 2.0, but it's one of those things that like logistically doesn't make any sense. Like, the Freys are spread all over the map. You can't get them all in one place. They weren't even all there for the Red Wedding. How are you supposed to get them all there for a mass killing? Like, some are in Essos, some are women, some are children, some are babies. Like, as much as like so many people are into Red Wedding 2.0 and having like House Frey go extinct, it's just logistically impossible. But this is the theme. Like, did George think of this and then he actually wrote a story that like does not fit that at all? Yeah.
This one's a toss-up because a lot of what happens with Arya is very fan fiction for the show only. Her killing the Night King, no shot. So maybe this is part of it. I don't like her killing Littlefinger. That was so lame and so dumb.
Well, the Night King is not even a thing in the book, right? So Arya killed the Night King.
As far as we know, that could have been a George original. So
yeah, it's true. That's true. You're so right. Mel mediates Jon and Dany, Dragonglass from Dragonstone. So in A Storm of Swords, Stannis specifically tells us that there's so much Dragonglass on Dragonstone. I see this one as probably like, like we need to make an army of people with like armed with Dragonglass. I guess Jon has to like kneel to Dany. This one fits. This one makes sense to me. Because we've already had Stannis like in a very awkward line being like, oh, we've got so much obsidian on Dragonstone. Like, he just like mentions this, you're like, okay, good to know, you know.
I think the Dragon Glass on Dragonstone will come back, but Mel mediating the whole meeting between Jon and Dany, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Jon coming back from the dead is if Jon were to come back from the dead, like Mel would follow him, right, as like her religious leader, and then I don't know. I mean, that whole like I brought together ice and fire, like I don't know if that's gonna happen, but like, okay, here's some ones that may not. Jorah gets grayscale. Sam cures grayscale. I'm gonna say this is one where I don't see this happening at all. Like there's just not like Jon Con is the one with grayscale, and Sam curing grayscale, like coming up with a way to like stop a plague, like that doesn't seem very George R. Martin. You know, like you'd think there'd be a big breakout and all sorts of people would die, rather than like Sam nipping it in the bud.
Sam all of a sudden becoming one of the greatest macers of all time on his first week there. No shot.
Yeah, I think this was something like they had Jon Con getting grayscale, and then they gave the plot to Jorah, and then they're like, "Fuck, we don't want to kill Jorah yet." And then, well, how are we gonna have him get rid of grayscale? We'll have Sam cure it, you know. So there's one where I think that like this is not George at all. The Hound returns, sees a vision, goes to the wall.
Hound's the gravedigger, right? So
yeah. The only thing that makes me think that like the Hound is going to come back into the story is the story of the last hero and how there's a dog in the last hero story. That's the only thing that makes me think.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, but there's not really any need for Sandor to come back. But you know, but that's the thing. Maybe it was seeded with you know, the companions and the dog and all of that. So maybe.
I do think Sandor will come back, but final boss battle against the Mountain, no shot.
No, I don't think so. Euron Cersei marriage, I think that's pretty firm.
Really?
Yeah. I think two major things for the Euron Cersei marriage. One, the Forsaken chapter has like Euron with a like fire bride, and I think that fire bride is Cersei because of the wildfire. And then two, there's just in the appendices, there's just way too many Westerland Ironborn connections where you're just like, it just seems like this is all set up for an alliance. You just don't have that with the Ironborn and say the North, or the Ironborn and the Reach.
Actually, you know what? No, that makes more sense now, considering as it stands now, the Tyrells are Cersei's biggest pain besides the Sparrows, and Euron is basically going to be in the position to take them out. So.
Dany lands on Dragonstone.
That's certain.
I think it's certain too, just because that's where Rhaenyra is. Like Rhaenyra was on Dragonstone with a dwarf advisor. Like Dany's going to be on Dragonstone with a dwarf advisor. Like first Dance of the Dragons, second Dance of the Dragons. Like I think it's like
poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah. Dany delays taking King's Landing for reasons. Dany takes Casterly Rock.
If we're going by the Winds blurb, she wraps this up quick. She would have to. I mean...
Right, but at the same time, I mean, and granted, the show has to invent a different reason because there's no Aegon. But say Aegon gets a dragon, then Dany has the same reason for not taking King's Landing as Rhaenyra. Like, oh, I can't. There's dragons there.
In the show, the only reason she doesn't attack King's Landing is because Tyrion is convincing her of all the innocence, and also because he wants to save his sister. Okay, fine. But in the books, There's no Tyrion's not gonna fuck about Cersei.
Tyrion hates his sister and wants to kill her, right?
Right.
So I could see the delay for if Aegon has a dragon, but I think the delay is for a different reason. I don't think she's against Cersei, so I think she's against Aegon, and then she doesn't take it for the same reasons of Rhaenyra, but then she does what Rhaenyra does, or whatever. Like Rhaenyra does eventually take King's Landing. Dany taking Casterly Rock. I mean, do you think it's useful that Tyrion knows the sewers of Casterly Rock, and they all can go in through the sewers?
I feel like that does have to come back somehow.
Yeah, because the sewer thing is how they take Meereen, because Brownbed Plum knows the sewers, and then we've established that Tyrion knows the sewers of Casterly Rock, so it seems like you could just do that again, and it rhymes.
Of course.
Grey Worm and Missandei romance.
That they're like two different characters at this.
This is one where I'm like, but this is funny. This is the one where like people actually liked it. They were like, the show did fine, did well with this. But yeah, there's no chance that this is happening in the book. We just don't have a POV on it either. There's just no like.
It's not only that, but forming first off, even to entertain it for a minute, George is trying to wrap this story up. This takes too many pages.
Yeah, I just also don't know there's no compelling romance stories that also don't have the POV being part of it. Like you'd have to see it in the background, or like Dany or Tyrion or whoever would have to be sitting somewhere and then overhearing them talk. And it's just their weird little, and plus like Missandei is like an 11-year-old girl. So it's like disgusting, right? So like,
right. Yeah.
It's okay. Almost done with this. Randall Tarley, Warden of the South for Cersei. Dany kills Randall and Dickon.
So, like I said, I can see the Greyjoy fleets fucking up a good chunk of the Reach. In order for this to happen, Mace Tyrell and the other Tyrells need to be moved out of the way. And Cersei wants them out of the way. Randall Tarley is a very dangerous man, but also very important if she's to hold the South. So
I could see this happening, but Randall Tarley, Warden of the South for Aegon. And then Dany kills Randall and Dickon in the Dance of the Dragons.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't necessarily see him doing it for Cersei for the reason of this is an outsider or something, right? He doesn't have...
Right.
Yeah. Ballistas being used against dragons.
That's almost certain.
A Euron and Yara Asha sea battle.
Yara's not even in the there's no shot.
Logistically, how is she getting a fleet and commanding a fleet for Euron to attack?
Even if she were to command Dany's fleet, because didn't Dany's admiral what's his name? I want to say Glorio, but I know it's not Glorio. It's what was Dany's admiral's name? But he died.
Grolio.
Yeah. I was so close, but I know Glorio is another character from another show. Even if Yara was going to be Dany's why would they would need to meet and she would need to trust Asha and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean
that's show fanfic.
Right. The only thing that's kind of that gives me a little pause is that it's somewhat similar to the gullet. That the gullet happens and it's like this horrible shock on Rhaenyra. And so would there be a similar shock to Dany by sea? And it's like, okay, maybe, but I don't see how Yara is in there.
The only devastating sea battle I could see going down in Winds of Winter would be the Red Wine fleet against the Ironborn, because that's almost certain at this point, right? So
yeah,
What do you think is going to go down? Euron's going to win that fight with Krakens rising from the sea. Okay.
And then yeah, and then I don't know. We got to deal with Danny's fleet. I mean, something. I mean, I'll say this: Cersei. When you're talking about like these people with dragons, and then like Cersei coming back, having a huge fleet with Euron would explain it. Like that Dany never had a big fleet, and Aegon never had a big fleet. And so obviously when Cersei comes back with a huge fleet, that they can conquer the map really fast because no one else has a navy. Like that, so, and almost in a sense that like no more sea battles because Euron is just fucking going to take over because he's the only one left. But then maybe Victarion joins Dany and then the Gullet kills Victarion. I don't know. But Victarion was supposed to die anyway, so who knows? Okay, almost done here. Lannisters take Highgarden. The Olenna suicide reveal. Do you think that's something's that's gonna happen?
Where is the Lannister army right now?
The only big Lannister army is the host that's melting away at Riverrun. That the Riverrun surrenders, and so the host is like, okay, cool, war's over, and then they start melting away.
Again, that's Ironborn right there. So I don't know.
It doesn't seem, because there's this whole like reach plot that seems a little weird. First of all, I think the Olenna is only like a boss bitch in the show. Like people only like really wanted to see her back in the show. I don't know if like George has the same like need for this Olenna Cersei rivalry that doesn't exist in the books. So like the rivalry doesn't exist, and therefore like having her commit suicide and be like, tell Cersei it's me, like it doesn't mean anything. Cersei never dwells on Olenna. She occupies zero rent. She is not living rent free in Cersei's head. Lots of people are living rent free in Cersei's head, and Olenna is not one of them. So like this is one where I think it might be a show only creation. The whole like Tyrell, which
is a shame because it's one of the best one-liners in the show. Like, tell Cersei it was me.
And I mean this just goes to show like how incredible of an actress Diana Rigg was, that she could take such little material and make a character that everybody loved. So I chalk it up to her, but I don't see that happening. Okay. And then similar to that, the Iron Bank being paid with Tyrell gold. And I don't see it.
That was random even in the show.
Yeah. I mean, we see where the Iron Bank plot is going. Like it's interesting that the show, because the show could have easily just forgotten about the debt thing, and it would have been a plot that no one missed. And so it was really weird that they kept going with it. Like, no, we're bringing Tychonosaurus into this, and okay, all right, so that you can hire the Golden Company to like be defeated in 2 seconds. Like it's such a weird random plot. That Cersei, like, okay, say Aegon gets killed, can Cersei use money to buy the Golden Company because the Golden Company is now in Westeros, and she consolidates power quickly by buying the Golden Company?
I don't know about that. Because at this point they're acting more as a
sellsword company. I'm saying that like say in the show, say George's plans is for like Aegon is killed on his dragon by Dany. Jon Con dies.
Mm.
And then now you've got the Golden Company. And Cersei's just like, I got gold.
No Aegon, no Jon Con. Yes, I can see that.
Yeah. So this is turned around that this is a maybe. I mean, not the Iron Bank, but like she just pays him directly now. Like I'm gonna take up the Golden Company's contract. Okay. These next two kind of go together, the Armistice and the Wight Hunt. Do you think that they're going to catch a Wight north of the Wall and
Just
try
to
to
prove
bring
something?
it to King's Landing for an armistice with like all of the characters there?
No, and I'm going based off the Wind's blurb.
That
Because
Dany
Dany
already
is
kind of goes to the Wall and then is trying to unite the kingdom behind her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is more like I kind of feel like the Armistice was more like, we got all the characters together. Woohoo. Come and watch. All the characters in one place. It's going to be crazy. And it wasn't that crazy. But the Wight Hunt is pretty silly. I don't know why. I don't know.
By the way, speaking on the Whites real quick, Quinn the GM hit me up privately, and he has an interesting thing about Arya. He thinks that her killing the Night King has more to do with her putting down Lady Stoneheart, seeing Catelyn could have been raised by the others in an earlier version of the story. So,
yeah, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say that like the idea of people finishing each other's plots as a subversion of expectation. Like I could see George doing that. Like Arya is finishing Jon's plot. Like Jaime is finishing, Aeron's plot and things like that. But I don't know. It gets really hazy as you start getting to the end. The Wight Hunt. I don't know if the Wight Hunt makes any sense. I think maybe they could have an armistice where all the characters come together. Had like Harrenhal or something. I don't know about the Dragon Pit. All right, Benjen is a Wight.
Before that reveal, so do you remember a couple of years ago? I did a video on it. Remember a couple of years ago where like this, I don't know if it was a leaked page or something. I don't recall. But George's editor was talking about cold hands, and they wrote a note next to it like, "Is this Benjen? I think it's Benjen." And George flat out said no. So,
but then
at first,
then what is Benjen's fate?
Yeah,
Benjen's got to come back
somehow. So. Unless he's secretly Dario, which that's
great.
an actual theory.
That would be great. I mean, it'd be great. I've been putting on this accent the whole time. I'm really from the north. My name's Ben. And I'm from Winterfell.
He comes with Dany and Jon sees him at Dragonstone. Uncle Benjen? What the fuck? Why are you? What?
Yeah. Man, yeah. My uncle fucked you too? Oh. Oh. It's not the incest that makes it all gross. It's the fact that my uncle fucked you. R+L = J. Yeah.
All but certain, but I wish he would just like go like, no, it didn't mean anything. I wish like... To be fair, I think David
the
Dan
surprise
did it right.
with R+L = J was how irrelevant it was. I think
in the show
it
doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think in the book I think the twist in the book is R+L = J creates division between Jon and Dany somehow. That they're both rivals for the throne, and that division is going to be real and break them apart. And that that you all thought it was going to be something great, but it's actually something horrible. In the show, it ended up being nothing. It ended up being the reason Varys died, and no one cared. Like, that's the only thing that came out of R+L = J.
To be fair, what you just said, what you think is going to happen in the books, kind of happened in this show. Dany just kind of took Jon's word for it that he doesn't want the throne, because he says it multiple times. I feel like he says it multiple times to her. At this point, it's become so much of a meme. I don't know how many people he says it to. I think he says it to Sam, to Daenerys, and to
McQueen. Yeah.
I think he says it to Davos, maybe. I forget, but it seemed like it was gonna drive him apart, but it was just really Varys stoking the flames on
Right.
that.
And then, I
So
mean, other things were also driving them apart, though. Like the jealousy that he was getting so much attention after the battle in the north, the incest. Like there's other things. I mean, I guess like the drop in the sexual drive, but like between them or something. But like it was, and actually the thing that really drove them apart was she went and burned the city. Right? He was all fine, like in the end, except that last thing. It was a repairable relationship until she
oh, that's
burned
right.
the city. Anyway, the fi-
The idea of his girlfriend getting upset with him because he won't fuck her, like
yeah,
she's just getting like, come on, dude, what the fuck?
the final thing is the white dragon. You think that's George?
In the blurb, doesn't it say that the wall comes down? So,
I think it's a little too bold. It's kind of like the Sept, where it's like it's a little too bold. It seems like it has to be George's idea. Right? Like if you're trying to do an adaptation and you throw in White Dragon, I mean, say you're trying to adapt a book to the screen and you throw in a White Dragon. It's pretty bold, right? Like if it wasn't in the source material.
I'm mixed on the white dragon. On one hand, it's so cliche, but on the other, the rule of cool was kind of cool. I don't know. I'm mixed on it.
Anyway, I think overall we're back on this idea that all of these ideas of like stuff that happens in the show, where it seems like stuff that George at least came up with on an earlier draft. I understand that many of them are not logistically possible. However, just because they're not logistically possible doesn't mean like George didn't think that was going to be like the way the story was going at some point. Brienne killing Stannis, that kind of thing. Anyway, thank you, Carmine, for going through that. That only took 45 minutes.
That's 45 minutes. What?
I know, 45 minutes you'll never have back, motherfucker.
Oh, stop it. That was a good time. No, God, it did. That went by really fast. Holy shit. Is that the only thing from the blur? I'm sure there's more from the blurbs that you probably
Oh,
left
there's
out.
more. I could have added more. I just, made that list. It was a long enough list, but I was just like things, I mainly looked at like what happened in season 7 and was like
Maester versus Greenseer? We're gonna have a rivalry between Marwyn and Bran? Like what?
Oh yeah, with the blurb. Yeah. The Golden Company is latrines and voluntaries causing the pale mare. I don't think so. I mean, here's the thing. So Voluntaris is a small city just north of Volantis, and the Golden Company like camps there. And it is true. Like tripping zombies is bringing up a good point that having 10,000 people camping at a river, it's probably not smart environmentally. But Volantis already has so many problems that you don't need it. Like you already have the coming slave revolt that's been pretty well seeded, or political issues between the tigers and the elephants. So I mean, I understand the Marine has 10 times those problems, but yeah, do you need the pale mare? From and we don't know anyone in the Golden Company that has the pale mare, so I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but I think that you already have enough reasons for Volantis to fall apart without it, and no one in the Golden Company seems to be having diarrhea that we know of. But Aegon Connington coronation scene, more of Bellerophon. Because of the speed of the story, I think this is a fanfic question, but because of the speed of the fanfic, I think Aegon's coronation is going to be explored in flashback. So we're probably only going to have like a few paragraphs about it. But yes, obviously the elephants are going to continue on, and Balerion the elephant is definitely going to continue to be part of the story. But they're not going away anytime soon. But we have a long I don't know when we're going to get back to the Jon Con story, the Jon Con Arianne story, because let's go back to our Winds of Winter here. You know, like we, you know, well past the halfway point, we'll have to get back to Elaine and what's going on with her and the armies, and then maybe we can get to Jon Con getting control of King's Landing and like taking everything really fast in the second half of the book. Because you can see, like, we're coming up to I don't say we're coming up anytime soon, but in the next like year and a half, we're coming up to the midway point of the story, the halfway point of the story, and then in the second half, I guess we can deal with that elephant, taking control of King's Landing, and him and Aegon getting crowned king. But we will see. We'll see. Davos chapter sounds fire. Thank you. Will you do any videos on publishing journey of your novel? For example, challenges faced, your insights on the processes, etc. I could. I'm trying to publish my book this week. My wife just finished it for the first time and had a bunch of like suggestions, and I was like, "Fuck, got to go through this thing." I have so much nervousness about like typos and shit like that. Even though like a million people have looked over it, it's just every time somebody finds something new. Carmine found something the other day and sent me, and I was like, "Oh, god damn it!" So, have you finished, Carmine?
No, I have not.
Well, whatever, dude.
Are you calling me an animal? Yes, I am.
Yeah. I'll do my best. I'll try to talk about the whole experience. I don't think anyone should ever emulate like my me on producing a book. It took way too long, way too long.
You're a busy guy, man. Come on.
I know. Theories on how Euron's story will end. I mean, besides like on a rock, stabbed by Jamie Lannister or whatever. I don't know. You know, you'd hope that something that his death would be more interesting, and he would be a more difficult boss. If he really has all these like strange visions and mutes and all sorts of and ships and all sorts of stuff, you'd think he'd he'd be more difficult to kill. Rather than just Jaime Lannister, like fighting him on some rocks and stabbing him. So, I'd rather have his end deal with Aeron or Victarion, one of the two dealing with him. You know, rather than Jaime. I mean, but who knows? I mean, maybe George was trying to subvert all our expectations and having Jaime kill somebody that was clearly meant to be dealt with by either Victarion or Aeron. So, man, I wish I had comments on the German election. I mean, I read the percentages and everything, but it's just more depressing rise of Nazis in this world. Anyway, I believe Bran will be king in the end, as seen in the show. However, I hope it's as an all-knowing entity via the werewood, not as a king.
I agree. That would be more satisfying.
I mean, it could be something like, did you ever see Highlander?
No.
Oh, man. So Highlander is the story of a bunch of immortal guys trying to kill each other until there's one. And there's this very vague idea of what the prize is for the Highlanders. Like, why are they all trying to kill each other over the course of thousands of years until there's one?
Wait, hold on. Isn't it because the last person standing becomes like as powerful as God or something? Or is that a different movie?
So the problem with Highlander canon is it changes from movie to movie. So
there can't be a sequel. I know. I remember you saying that.
Right. I mean, this is the joke, is that you're talking about a story that has a clear, definitive answer, and yet they fucking keep making sequels. Um, in the original, though, like the one thing that he gets is one, immortals are sterile, so like a lot of them want to have children and they can't. But so like he does become fertile again, and he's happy about that. But the only thing is that he's kind of has a feeling of connection to every being on the planet. And in this very abstract sense, like you're not really sure what that means, but he feels connected now to everything, every being, everything on the planet, all life on the planet. And you're like, okay. And that's kind of the ending in the original. It's not what you get in other stuff, but whatever. But getting back to Bran, like, is there this idea that he like learns how to connect with all people on the planet and like can like, push them towards goodwill in some way. And some people say, isn't that really dark? Like having everybody lose free will. And I was like, right. But it's like, of course, it's like a bittersweet ending for George. Like there's peace and everyone survives, but the free will is like compromised because this like everyone's now connected through the werewoods or something strange like that.
This person here, killing everyone and then becoming God is the plot to Jet Li's The One.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
That's what I was thinking of. Sorry.
Well, he's killing alternate versions of himself.
Right? Until there can only be one, and then he becomes. Right. By the way, I watched that the ending of that movie a while ago. God, it's still fucking cool.
I mean, Jet Li is fucking incredible. Like even like the thing about Jet Li is that even when it's a really dumb bad movie like The One, it's still an awesome movie because it's Jet Li, and he's so good. But like the one thing about that movie is that like. So it's about an evil Jet Li who is jumping dimensions to kill all alternate versions of him, because every time he kills an alternate version of him, the amount of energy, he doesn't collect it like Highlanders, but the amount of energy then is shared by the remainder. So like the hero Jet Li keeps getting stronger, even as it starts getting equally strong too. So it's always an equal fight between the Jet Lis. Until
that's actually clever. Oh shit! Yeah. I forgot this film, but all I remember is that one plot: is that Jet Li's trying to kill alternate versions of himself to become God.
Yeah. I mean, he also his girlfriend dies, but then at the end he's in a different alternate universe where his girlfriend's alive, so it's all good because girlfriends are replaceable with their alternates. This is kind of like this is brought up in Rick and Morty too, right? Like his family gets killed, and so he just hangs out with an alternate version of his family, or his family's turned into freaks. Yeah. Where in the Stormlands are there soldiers? Do we know which are with Randall and which are with Mace? And where did Euron get the idea to use squids? So with regards to Stormlanders, besides there are a handful of Stormland houses that chose to follow the crown and stuff like that. But the idea is that most of those soldiers got like joined Stannis and then died at the Blackwater, or then submitted to the crown, submitted to the Lannisters, or at the end. I don't know. There's probably some, but there's not many houses that went to the Tyrells and like would be under the Tyrells. But it's not real. Like if you're looking for something that makes sense, like the Lannisters and the Starks have many more soldiers than they should, and the Stormlands have many fewer soldiers than they should. I mean, they lost one battle, and it's like then they just disappear from the story for the most part, the Stormland armies. When there should be lots. If if the North can go through all their battles and the Lannisters can go through all their battles and still have soldiers left over, like you'd think the Stormlanders would have some soldiers left over. But the idea is that some of them are joining Jon Con. We hear about that a little bit, but it's they don't seem to be under Randall or Mace now, as opposed to like now when we go to I need to correct myself. Mace Tyrell not Mace Tyrell. Randall Tarley did take some of them and have them use them to try to get rid of like broken men and pacify the Riverlands. So I think some are under Randall, but I don't know how many. You have to. It's in a Brienne chapter where she sees a bunch of, and I want to double check that because there might be nobody from the Stormlands. But Randall did take like surviving houses and use them. It's all right. Let's go Brienne. I remember there was a centaur. Whoever has a centaur. She saw 2 centaurs, a thunderbolt, a blue beetle, a green arrow. None of those. I don't think. Maybe the thunderbolt's hard to say, but like maybe that's Dundarian. Their sergeant had a peacock on his breast. It's like trying to go through this and figure out if he had any Stormlanders, but I think it's mostly like Westermen and Tyrells. So no, I'm gonna uncorrect myself. It's weird that the Stormlanders kind of disappear because Stannis doesn't take that many people north. He takes some, definitely. But he doesn't take that many people north, and not that many. Did they all die at the Blackwater? Did they all submit? There should be a lot more of them, but yeah. Where did Euron get the idea to use squids? I mean, his imagination. Where do ideas come from? Isn't there the Claw Island horn? Doesn't that summon something? Doesn't that summon krakens from the deep? Summon monsters? Yeah, that summons krakens from the deep. Maybe he got the idea from the Celtigar horn, or something. Mel uses finger bones to convince Manus to burn. The finger bones. So we still never.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but you will never be able to see or read the finger bones again without thinking about Davos jerking off
the hand
Stannis.
jobs. Yeah, the hand jobs. Davos's hand, tipless hand. Giving Stannis a hand job. The finger bones, I mean, the finger bones don't make any sense, right? Like Davos is on the ship with the finger bones when he goes in the Battle of the Blackwater. Mel is on Dragonstone. He goes over, loses those finger bones somewhere in Blackwater Bay, and doesn't have them when he ends up on the rock. So Mel bringing up the bag of finger bones later on, how on earth would she have those finger bones? No one has a good answer to that. Like did she actually like switch him out before he went? Like did a little switch and he actually lost like a bag of marbles in Blackwater Bay while she had the finger bones? And then to what end, to what function? Did she know that he was going to survive? How did she know that he was going to survive? But okay, say she's got the finger bones, which just seems so nonsensical, but I get it that she mentions them in A Dance with Dragons. But say she's got them. So Stannis comes back to the wall, and then she transforms into Davos in order to convince him to like burn Shireen. Wouldn't Stannis be like, why do you care about the Lord of Light all of a sudden? Didn't you die? Didn't you die at White Harbor? Why are you still alive, Davos? Why are you telling me to kill my own daughter? You have no connection. I understand, like, there's the whole mystery of, like, if Mel has his finger bones, what would she do as a glamour Davos? And that's the only thing that people come up with. Well, what is she supposed to do? I mean, she could try, burn Shireen. That's the only thing we've heard of her doing. But it's such a jump. It's such a crazy random jump in events that somehow she got those finger bones, and then somehow as Davos, she convinces Stannis to burn his own daughter. How? This might be taking things too far, but when you rearrange some of the plots to match the geographical changes made to England and Ireland in the map, some of them line up too well. Only checked a few. Help me out, Carmine. What is Ross talking about here?
Are you highlighting it?
Is he making a joke, or
I'll
have to...
Oh, you weren't highlighting it. I was looking for Ross's thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Check that. Yeah, it was too small for me. This might be taking things for rearrange some of the plots to match the reference change to England and Ireland's maps. Some of them line up too well. Only checked a few. Yeah, Ross, you're gonna have to message me and let me know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a joke. Would Blake Lively eventually join the Dash Colleen? Hodor is actually Hold Doran. Hold Doran. Stannis' Pyrrhic victory against the Boltons, but burns Shireen at Winterfell when the others come south. So we gotta have them all travel south to Winterfell. I mean, I guess, like, if Mel loses the wall, like, they're getting attacked at the wall, and then they're like, okay, fall back to Winterfell. And they get Shireen to Winterfell. And then he burns Shireen because he thinks the others are coming, and this is his sacrifice, and it doesn't work, and he just gets killed anyway.
I think it's more probable that Ramsay winning against Stannis has a ripple effect throughout the entire North and makes people who were waiting to see what happens finally make their decision. And because of that, He sends an ultimatum to the Wall again, threatens to go over there if they don't give him Selyse and the rest of Stannis' forces. So they flee.
Yeah, I mean, the fan theory that existed even before the show showed Shireen burning was that the pink letter will cause Mel to panic and want to resurrect Stannis from the dead. So she burns Shireen, and she accidentally brings back Jon instead of Stannis. That was like the original fan theory. And I hated it. I was just like, what? Like, what? And then when Shireen was burned in the show, I was like, oh, okay, maybe Preston was a little wrong here. Maybe this crazy fan theory had some legs, But this was the crazy fan theory that was going around, that like Mel was going to burn Shireen.
So she fucks up,
yeah,
and accidentally brings back the wrong person. How do you
wrong person, right?
How do you do that?
I mean, right. This is why, but people had in their mind all of these things like blood, like Jon needs to get brought back, and so they're like, how do we? Blood pays for blood, and all of this stuff. They're like, life pays for life, and so there needed to be a sacrifice. And so who is there to sacrifice? Well, Shireen's got King's blood, so burn Shireen, and it's gonna bring back Jon. And it's like, well, why would Mel be trying to bring back Jon? Well, she was trying to bring back Stannis, and it made a mistake. Okay, but that was the full fan theory that was going around. And so when Shireen actually was burned, I was like, oh shit, because that's a very specific kind of thing. I mean, I suppose you can be like, okay, she's always talking about King's blood, and Shireen's got the fucking King's blood. Jon foolishly removed all of the other babies that had King's blood in order to prevent Mel from sacrificing anybody, and then he forgets about it, and Shireen comes in. So
You know what's the other thing that no one's really brought up before? I think I'm the only person that may have brought this up ever, and that's because I saw it on a website on Yahoo.com news. It's possible Jon's been stabbed multiple times and then survives. Because
right,
it's possible to be stabbed like
it was only a
right
flesh
here.
wound. It was only a flesh wound explanation, right?
So like right here, this article, home invader stabs man 37 times and the guy survived. So it's possible.
And that's the other thing is knowing George and his ambiguity. If he were to have Jon come back, it would have been like, oh, he was stabbed a bunch and he's still alive. I guess some people would be like, oh, he was brought back from the dead. But actually he was just like, dude, I just survived the wounds. Like, that's it. Like, and so you could like have the ambiguity of was it magic or was it just like real? Was it just him surviving? Yeah, I mean, you're right that Jon does not actually die. He just gets stabbed. We don't know. Could have survived that. Arya survived an axe to the back of the head. So what are we supposed to think? I'd love to see a video series that focuses on the fool's gestures and the musician's songs. It seems like these elements get overlooked by most folks. Yeah, that would be a pretty fun series. I don't know if I have the time, but what I will say, Brian, and you will be pleasantly surprised, or pleasant in the fanfic, there is going to be a chapter called The Fool, Samwell's second chapter, where a fool will be the POV. A fool in Volantis will be the POV. And I am very much looking forward to that chapter and Samwell 3, which I've also been thinking about. But so we will get a lot of focus on the fools and the life of a fool in that chapter. How they function, like how they all pretend to be stupid when they're actually smart, like the craft, the trade, the advice they give each other, that kind of thing. And like learning about him will help us learn about Butterbumps and Moon Boy and stuff like that. Because the idea is that like Moon Boy and Butterbumps are regular dudes, if not like intelligent dudes, pretending to be stupid this entire time. But I really look forward to that chapter. I've spoiled where I'm taking Samwell to Carmine, and he said specifically, he gave me the Carmine seal of approval. That's a really fucking cool idea. So
I did. I mean,
yeah. Remember I told you about Samwell 3? I'll text you.
Yeah, I forgot. I know what you're doing with Tyrion. And I know your plans for a secret Lannister to come back.
And that's Secret Lannister, Joy Hill. Yeah!
Yeah, this tells me nothing. Oh, wait. Never mind.
Yeah. That's the Samuel 3 title. Don't
It's funny
say
you
it out
say
loud.
that because
Don't say it
I
out
won't say
loud.
that. I won't. It's funny you say that because I'll type.
What he's writing back. It's just a dick pic. What is this? This is just your dick.
Chill.
Oh no, yeah, I heard about that. He writes me back about how glass candles might be coming to House of the Dragon season 3. That the visions that Damon was seeing of Helena are her with a glass candle. That she's got a glass candle at her disposal. Which then it's like, well, what's the fucking point of her special dreams then if she's got a fucking glass candle? Jesus fucking Christ. Like, pick a lane, motherfuckers. Or is she doing everything through dreams, Or is she doing, is she doing everything through glass candles? Anyway. Davos does join Jon. Davos is headed north towards Skagos. Jon loses his point of view and Davos becomes his point of view, like he was to Stannis. I mean, this would... So I think that a lot of fans are coming around to the idea that Jon is no longer going to be a point of view. Which just, I think it's just like logistically, there's too many other points of view. We need either Mel or Davos to like take over for Jon. And then also the idea that Catelyn lost her point of view when she became a Wight. Shouldn't Jon lose his point of view when he becomes a Wight? And I think that those are all like fair ideas. So like in the show, we saw Davos be Jon's right-hand man almost unrealistically. Like all of a sudden Davos is super into this Jon for no fucking reason. And he never left his side. Shouldn't it be because, would the explanation be, well, that's Jon's POV as Davos from now on. And it's, I think that's a fair point. Or Melisandre being Jon's POV. Like either one works, or they alternate or something. The two of them are following Jon, and George uses whichever one.
That makes a lot of sense. That would give Davos an excuse to be by Jon's side all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. Probably makes sense to me. Yeah. Yeah. Fanfic appreciation post. Loved Cersei. Psyched for Asha and then Davos. Yeah. Been trying to work on trying to get Asha done. It'll be a while. I've just been busy with so many other things. I know people are just like, where the fuck is Asha? Where the fuck is Asha? It's coming. But yeah, Davos, the chapter call is out, so I can't do any progress on Davos. But
hey, real quick, Glytis says something. Did you think that Stannis was coming back in season 6?
I did, yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Shit, I don't remember. Did I think that too? I don't remember.
I was completely convinced because I drunk the Kool-Aid, man. I was completely convinced that Stannis, because the book had a more interesting story for Stannis, and there was something complicated going on with the Battle of Ice. Like at least with the fucking lake, there has to be something with the lake. Like that there would be something. And so when Stannis, and then couple that with the fact that they don't show his death, and it's like, well, why'd you cut away? Why cut away? People never cut away. How many cutaways? Does anyone die cut away in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Who?
Ned Stark.
We literally see he's cut. We literally see his neck like being removed from his body.
No, we don't. Go back and watch that scene. Just as the sword falls, it cuts away. And like his neck, his head falling off his body, never see it. Not even like the head rolling on the steps, never see it. We see the aftermath, yes, but that whole
I
situation.
mean, we never see it in the book.
Should probably mute that, just in case.
Yeah, you're right. No, the head fucking comes off.
No, it does not. Preston, let me look this up right now. I'm just gonna
Look it up. The head comes off his body.
Ned Stark's death aftermath. Because I know, like, it cuts away.
It does cut away, but you literally see his neck move for a split second as the sword comes down.
Doesn't count. Needs to be an actual beheading, like they did with the kid from the Night's Watch.
Like you literally see, like it even seems like there's something odd with the head, like it's. I mean, I understand. Look, I understand why you'd say it would cut away, but there's something like weird. It seems like Sean Bean's head is not even on his body; that he's like put his head on something else, because it's like not, his body is not moving at all while his head is and stuff like that. It's very weird.
The other person I was gonna say, but it's so lame. It doesn't even. I won't argue if you say it doesn't count. The Blackfish.
Yeah, it killed off. Well, yeah, the Blackfish just killed off screen. Yeah. No. I was completely convinced because of the book, and because of the cutaway, and because of it kind of spoils like Brienne's story, right? Like I didn't think she would be cruel enough to like kill Stannis, like a wounded guy sitting there being like, like, and like, so those three things where I was like, those are three fucking things that made me think that Stannis wasn't really dead, and that Brienne was gonna somehow use him in some way. And no, the show wasn't that clever. It wasn't. It wasn't. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. And there's some other things I was very wrong about. I thought that there was going to be something evil about Jon when he came back from the dead, because Jon Snow wouldn't have executed children. And nope, I was wrong. I was completely wrong.
Like, not this Jon Snow, baby.
That was Jon Snow. Like there was nothing special about it. Yeah. There was nothing. Yeah.
Well, fuck Ollie. First off, Ollie was the fandom really hated the fuck out of Ollie.
For no reason. Poor Ollie, man. Ollie was right. Ollie did nothing wrong. But no, he completely. I was completely wrong. Completely wrong. You know. I didn't think the show would be that dumb. It was. George really should not have made Westeros so big. So in the end, it's George's original plan was that the story would take place over a much longer period of time, 10 years or something. So when people moved around, it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, when you think of like, even the pace of a Game of Thrones is, you know, these armies moving and everything, it kind of works, but even that only takes place over a little over a year, a Game of Thrones. And so to get armies from one place to another, but and then he somehow lost the ability to have the story go long, have like months pass between chapters, weeks pass between chapters. Everything became like, I need to do a travel log the whole time, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, he could have made Westeros like half as big as it is, but he also could have like just dealt with time passage differently. But this is the whole thing: is he only came up with the 5-year gap because the story was not moving, and he was trying to correct himself. So he had made the kids young, And he wanted the kids to grow up and do things like have children, like Sansa having children, and stuff like that. And but because he wasn't pacing everything, the story was not progressing fast enough, timeline wise. And so then he was like 5-year gap. And then, after that, like it all fucking fell apart. Like once he did 5-year gap, because then he's like, I'll have a book that does the 5-year gap. And then it doesn't, it doesn't. And then it becomes 2 books for a 5-year gap. And he ends up passing about 6 months or something in those books, 6 or 7 months in those books. So the kids, everybody's still young. Eternal, forever young. It's like the Rod Stewart song. Forever young. Ultimately inconsequential, but I thought it would be funny, a funny irony if Dany's true identity was revealed, and for some reason they tell her she was actually born in really nice weather, so not Stormborn. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that for the fanfic and different theories that I had, that the Stormborn is that everybody thinks that she was born during the storming of Dragonstone, and that there was no storm, and that's where Stormborn came from, and that she's actually a dragon seed. But that would be. I'm trying to think like what George was really planning, because obviously he didn't even think about dragon seeds and stuff like that when he was writing a Game of Thrones. I think he mystery boxed it. In all truth, I think that George wrote a really weird, mysterious backstory for Dany, thinking this is a mystery box. I'll come up with something later on about like what really happened at the house with the red door. And it'll be revolutionary. And I don't think he had any idea what it was at the time. I think he mystery boxed it like Lost or whatever, and you just create a mystery and you don't know what it is, and you're kind of stuck. So that would be my guess. But I do think it's like, I think it'll be funny. Yeah, funny that actually the weather was fine. It was a nice day. It was a
very nice day at Starfall.
Yeah, it was a very nice day at Starfall.
Very nice day.
The Waif, Arya Waif Terminator 2 chase scene is totally George's style. Oh, Waif is mad because Arya is a DEI warg hire.
Glidus says here, 1 book for a 5-year gap became 2 books that covered the least amount of time.
That's right. Yes. I think, collectively, I think Storm is like 3 or 4 months, but I guess if you add them together and divide, yes, each book covers. I have to look at the timeline to see what the official what people have tried to figure out. It's tough because at the end things start going really weird with the timeline. The timeline kind of breaks down. But all right, A Feast for Crow, Dance with Dragons. Maybe it begins in February. Varamage's death. I understand that like A Feast for Crow stuff goes before, but that's different when it's crossing over with Storm events. So February, and then it makes it to maybe August. It's not very long. Fuck. It's like five months. 5 months. Storm is like 3 or 4, but 2 books to go. We've all accepted that DEI is now the N word, right? Like everyone's just uses DEI as the N word.
Well, yeah, that's how I've been using it.
Yeah. I'd be like, DEI, please. The logistics are a problem if you assume A Feast for Crows, A Dance with Dragons page a pace, another can of worms. A Game of Thrones had no pacing problem making Winterfell characters get to King's Landing in one chapter. I mean, yeah. I mean, even a Game of Thrones, George probably wanted it to be have even more time pass. But it is true that had George committed to just like characters disappearing for a while, but I kind of think that George has a problem where sometimes he is trying to put in filler, and then he gets to the point where he's like, "Fuck, I put in too much filler. Oh God, I've now overstuffed it." You know, like he's like, "Let's get this page count up. I need to get this page count up. Let's write some Tyrion chapters. Get the page count up." And then he's like, "Fuck, I went over. God damn it." You know, I think that might happen. Thanks for the chat on old blurbs. Could the blurb about a host of wildlings led by Wight still be used in the fanfic? Tormund, loyal wildling, goes to treat with the Weeper, finds his host has been turned. I mean, I think that's probably... So what I've thought about doing with the fanfic with regards to like the Weeper is that, you know, there's no POV in the Weeper's camp. So like Melisandre is hearing about towers on the wall falling, or when's the last raven we got from this and this tower, and she's just assuming that it's the Weeper. Or the last message is, oh, we saw it, it's the Weeper's forces, it's the Weeper's forces. And then when they finally come, they're no longer the Weeper's forces, they're all Wights. You know, and that's like the surprise, ruining it all for you guys. But like that was like kind of like the idea that like the Weeper's forces at some point will become the Wights. You know,
I like that. By the way,
yeah,
just for the audience who has no idea what he's talking about, on Patreon, and I'll be releasing a video tomorrow. We were talking about the old book blurbs that someone found, where the story is vastly different, more closer to the Game of Thrones, the television show, than what the books could come up with. And on that one, the Weeper, your idea there, that's so cool. It'll have to be an epilogue though, because that's one of those things where you have to, like, it's one of those things where you have to end it like, holy shit, I need the next book right now. That's a great cliffhanger.
I mean, it's either that or like you're sacrificing a POV. Like at that point, a POV is dying. Like, oh fuck, it's the others, you know. You know, if you want Mel, Davos, Theon, or Asha, like one of them has to die at that point. Like, oh crap, you know. And I think that's, you know, I think I was also thinking of ways that Stannis can die. Like Stannis needs to die in like a very cool way up against like a big enemy. I mean, I understand that like George probably wanted Ramsay to kill him, but like, you know, people might accept that like Stannis would be like, Stannis getting overwhelmed by the others is maybe something people would accept, you know, because everybody fucking loves Stannis.
He doesn't listen to some character warning him, and he ultimately goes down because throughout most of his life he's been surrounded by dragonglass, but he doesn't have it. Or no, right,
I'm thinking something like you know, like the wildlings are coming. They're completely disorganized. They're not in formation, and he's just like, these idiot wildlings, you know. And then you're like, oh no, the reason they're not in formation is because they're Wights, you know, like, you know, something like that. I want Jaime to kill Cersei and stop her from lighting the fires, only for Tyrion to shoot him and light the blaze. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of discussions about will Jaime kill Cersei. I think that the show probably does just like is probably what George is thinking about with Jaime. Because when you read Dying of the Light, George's kind of philosophy in the end is like the only thing that matters it's not these big philosophical like schools. Dying of the Light is kind of like the only thing that matters are the promises that we make to each other, and that's what's important. And so the main character of that, like, he's promised to, well, he came to the planet, to the festival planet, because he had made a promise to his ex-girlfriend. It didn't matter if the love was reciprocated or what. He made that promise. His love was real. He made that promise. And then in the end, like, he made an agreement to fight the Breton Brave. Like, that was a promise he had made. And so in the end, he's like, fuck, like, no, I've got to fucking fight him. I made that promise, and I'm a man of my word. Like, I'm a man who, like, keeps his promises. And so I think I did this in the Game of Thrones fixed video I had for the end of the series. But, like, I think Jaime believing that he promised to love Cersei being his, like, ultimate promise that he needs to keep, that seems very George, and that's what that more or less, like, they don't say that in the show. They're just like, he's just like, I'm a shithead. I'm going to go back to Cersei. But, like, the way that Brienne writes in the book, like, died defending his queen, like, this promise, had it been written well, it would have been, like, about the promises and the connection that Jaime felt towards Cersei. And it doesn't matter if it's reciprocal or if she's a good person or not. He made that promise. Kind of where I think it is with George. And so, I mean, the fans really focus on, like, Jaime being the younger brother and using the golden hand to, like, kill Cersei and all that kind of stuff. And I don't see that being how George would do it. Like, Jaime doesn't dream of killing Cersei. Like, Jaime just doesn't do, like, that's just not part of his character. Tyrion does, but that's interesting though. If, like, Tyrion comes in and starts the blaze anyway, and it's like, damn it, what did I kill her for? Nothing. I mean, it'd be
Max here makes a good point. Dying for a stupid promise. Maybe George's message is that it's dumb.
Fair enough. But, George thinks that the promises that we make, at least what he believed in 1979, 1980, whatever, when he wrote Dying of the Light, he may have changed. Finger. Oh, wait. Somebody put finger in the bum. Is the finger in the bum scene from the show? Is that from the book too? Was that George? You know what I'm talking about?
God, I hope not.
You remember though? Oh my god!
What was the thing that you were saying on the podcast? Like, what if bad pussy was George's idea all along?
Bad pussy was George's idea. Finger in the bum was George's idea the whole time. Yeah, all of it.
Before you get, Trey commented on the podcast. He goes, "You can hear the pain in Preston's voice as he learns that the Battle of Winterfell came from George."
No, I mean, yeah, like, it's just a big letdown. Like, it's not like that's not something that he's done that he could do. It's just so sad because
to be fair, it was a letdown the way Dave and Dan did it. Maybe if that does happen in the books, maybe George will clean it up.
Yeah. One big difference between the Winds of Winter blurb and the show is no evil Dany in the former. Oh, that's true. TDD had series showing King's Landing Massacre probably last minute. That's interesting. So that's the other thing. That's the other thing is, like, I want to know, like, how many fan theories actually influence D&D, because obviously Clegane Bowl, like, influenced D&D, right? This thing that's, like, not really pushed in the books, like this big epic battle between the Mountain and the Hound. Like, only the fandom was like, Clegane Bowl, get hype, like. Was evil Dany also something that the fandom largely came up with, that got put in? I mean, there's some elements of that, at the very end of a Dance with Dragons, that of Dany embracing her like darker side. And I think somebody asked a leading question to George once about it. He's like, "Is Dany going to embrace her evil side?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, we're going to see that in the future." But I mean, I could go either way on it. Like the story, I think the story works better without Dany going evil. But whatever, that's my opinion. But maybe.
Fan ideas have influenced the entertainment industry before. One specific example I can remember off the top of my head is, for whatever reason, the Marvel fandom wanted John Krasinski to play Mr.
Oh yeah,
Fantastic, Reed
right.
Richards, and then he ends up playing Mr. Fantastic.
Or
So
I heard the alternate Harry Potter character like at least gets lampshaded or mentioned in the Harry Potter books. You know what I'm talking about? Neville?
what
Yeah.
about Neville?
Well, he apparently also fits all of the prophecy
Oh, yeah, yeah.
connections. And so the fandom was like, maybe it's Neville. And they like eventually she does eventually bring that up in the books. Um because the fandom was talking about it. Yeah. Ooh, what's the future hold for Mance Rayder? Um, that's a very good question. I mean, I think in the very short term, I think Mance Rayder went to hide in the crypts beneath Winterfell and maybe escape in some tunnels if possible, for when something's going down. The battles are going to go down, and Mance is probably hiding in the crypts because he was asking about the crypts. Something's in the crypts. He at least wants to hide in them, and it's a good place to hide if there's a big battle. And Bran already did it, right? So it rhymes. It can come back. Um, are we going to use it rhymes forever? Like, because it's like it's not even in the movies. It's like in a documentary of George Lucas talking about the movies. It rhymes. But the question is like, what does Mance do after everybody? Like, is he looking to take control of the wildling armies again? Um, like if the Weeper comes, does he think that he can then just usurp the Weeper and get the armies back? I think that might be it. That he had this plan to try to get Tormund's people south to rescue him, or get an army south for him, and then take power again. I don't think I don't think he doesn't want to be king. I think he's still trying to finagle things. So I could see him hiding in there and then trying to get a hold of stuff. Maybe some of the wildlings after the battle at the wall make it south. He gets control of them. He thinks he can then take control of the Weeper because they don't really want to follow the Weeper. And then he's killed as well by the others and everybody, in his arrogance, not realizing that that's actually the white army coming or something. But I don't know if George has a plan, has it all planned out for Mance. What do you think, Carmine? Where's Mance going?
I need to be very careful here because our mutual friend Dan, the guy who made the Stannis is gay theory, he loves Mance Rayder. So this is
Yeah.
a better question for him uh, than it is for me. Mance, I don't know. Like I can't. He thinks Mance is like way more important than he is.
Mm.
I don't know. If we're going by the show, then I guess Mance is not that important. But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Quinn's like, do you accept bribes for more Connington chapters? There'll be plenty of Connington chapters, but I think more than people think. Just like there's more Hotah chapters than people think. Um, who are the foil characters to every narrator? Well, let's see. You kind of have what Alistair Thorne for Jon, and Janice Slint, and then I guess Bowen Marsh. I mean, he kind of has. It's kind of always some sort of character that doesn't like him at the wall. Um, Tyrion's. I mean, the foil interestingly changes, right? So Ned, it's obviously Varys and Littlefinger, and then Kat gets a whole bunch of different ones because she's moving around. So I mean, you could argue that Littlefinger, you could argue Tyrion, you could argue, you could argue Stannis, you could argue a lot of things. And then you could argue the phrase, you know, does Asha have a foil? I mean, eventually, you know, she's kind of Stannis becomes her foil, and then before that, it's like Euron, Victorian, or something. I don't know if Dany has a single foil. Dany's probably the hardest because I mean it starts out as Viserys, but after that it's kind of like this. The whole world is her foil, you know, that she constantly has.
I was literally just thinking that. Holy shit!
Yeah. Davos, most of the time it's Mel, and Jamie, it's kind of in a playful way, it's Brienne. Bran doesn't have to. Bran has, again, and it's like the world, but so he doesn't really have any foils either. But Sansa has Joffrey and Littlefinger. Arya's got a million different murderers. A million different murderers. Aeron clearly has Euron. Victorian has Euron. What are the key hints thus far of Dany going mad? I think that the first thing is Barristan mentioning that he saw something going wrong in Viserys that he doesn't see in Dany. But still, it's like, why are you bringing this up? It's a very, very interesting thing to bring up, like Viserys' insanity. And then I think the events of A Storm of Swords show her going pretty evil pretty quick. The thing is that because The Dance with Dragons took so long and he filled so many chapters, Dany becomes relatable again. Like she all of a sudden becomes sane again in A Dance with Dragons. So it's so I mean, I think the hints of her insanity are just like Barristan mentioning it and then her doing some fucking crazy stuff in Storm. And then that's it. Like I don't think there's any hints of her being insane in Dance, unless you count her walking around the Dothraki Sea as insane, you know. Can you think of much, Carmine? Like
of what any hints of Dany
going mad? The problem is so many characters do evil things that it's tough, you know.
It's not her going crazy, it's more that power corrupts. Yeah. And I guess that we'll be seeing that with her more when she comes back, that she'll be using the dragons more and more. She'll be using violence more and more to get her way. So,
but you could say that Arya is internally is much more insane than Dany. In how she justifies things and stuff like that in her head. Like Dany, for the most part, kind of is understandable, you know, but it's only when you step back and go, wait a minute, objectively speaking, these are some pretty fucked up things. Like she got the second sons drunk and then like attacked them in the night when she said like they were doing diplomacy. Isn't that the Red Wedding? You know, like, or you know, the you're killing everybody of like at age of 12, you know, crucifying the wise masters like that. It's some bad stuff. I guess there's the torturing people at the very beginning of A Dance with Dragons, but that's about it. Ready to get Neuralinked or lose your job. Oh, the job thing is pretty weird these days. But what's kind of happened is that all of the low hanging fruit on what Trump and Elon Musk could get away with have been done, and there's not much more they can do. They're running into a lot of legal problems with regards to shutting down agencies, taking the power of the purse from Congress. This is slowly getting fixed by courts. The hiring freeze is horrible, and the firing of probationary employees was horrible, and we're going to have long-lasting damage for many years, losing talent for the federal government. I mean, you're going to have this like 5 years of like, because kids, like, take somebody that's in graduate school right now who is thinking about going into federal government. Are they going to be trying to go into the federal government? Like, there's currently a hiring freeze, and you got rid of the people that were just hired in the last year. So, and all of the people that are thinking about going to government work aren't going to go into government work. They're not going to pursue that. So you're going to have this like 5-year gap in talented people that want to go into work for the federal government, which is really sad. It's really sad. So yeah, it's a really horrible situation. But
Before you move on, Apple Eater here had a very good point. She was brutal, but that doesn't make her mad. Nobody claims Tywin was mad for all the awful shit that he did, which is a fair point. I think one of the biggest clues that Dany is going to be going down the violence road more often is her last chapter in Dance of Dragons, where she says, "Fire and blood. Remember, what you were made to be. Remember your words, fire and blood."
So. Right. But the problem is that, you get this idea that her head is getting messed with by Quaithe, so it's not really her. I mean, we get that with Cersei too. She gets weird dreams and stuff. But like with Cersei, there's clearly a cognitive dissonance of her like logical, the way her mind works logically. Is just off and crazy. So you don't really sense that with Dany. You don't sit there and like read a Dany paragraph and be like, "Oh, this person's insane." You just think, what a naive young girl. That's it. You don't think like madness like you do with Cersei. Or with even Aeron. Even Aeron Damphair, like you read it and you're like, "Oh man, this guy's fucked up." Like or Victarion. Like that's just some like madness right there when you read those characters. Or Chet. Like you get that impression that they're jumping to the wrong conclusions because they're fucking insane. You don't get that with Dany, even when she does horrible things, Fingerbones makes sense. She swaps out after learning Davos's value to Stannis. It's right after that conversation. Trying to think like when would be a good time. Like maybe she stole his finger bones beneath in the chapter where they both go to under Storm's End or something, and he never had them going into the Battle of the Blackwater. She like somehow takes it then when they're on the boat together or something. I'm trying to think of like when would be an opportunity for her to steal those finger bones. That's the only time they're really together before he loses them. He loses those finger bones so early when you think about it. Like he loses them in Clash. So I guess maybe on that after the Shadow Baby, maybe the Shadow Baby snatched him and replaced him with something else. Oh, so Ross is saying that he might have chopped up the historical stories in the same way he chopped up the map, given the new geography. So this is this idea of that the Ice and Fire map resembles England and Ireland shoved together with Ireland kind of upside down. Let's see if I've got a good one. Is this a good example? So I mean, these things aren't perfect because some people would say that it's you mirror image England in order to have the peninsula be Dorne. And yeah, this isn't a great one. I don't like this one. I like the one of the mirror imaged England. Man, everybody's done this merging of Ireland and England, but I think it's better when it's man, I do not like that. I do not like Britain map mirrored. See, I like it more like this, where if you take England, oh Jesus, this is too large. If you take Britain and you mirror image it, then Wales becomes Cape Wrath and such. And what's the fucking peninsula called? I'm sorry, England people, where I've forgotten the names of your the parts of your country, but yes, I'm sure somebody's in the comments is like, you asshole, that peninsula is called X. But then that's kind of like Dorne, and then you shove obviously you shove in Ireland for the Vale. That's pretty obvious. And then they did this just to like see they shifted these sizes to try to make it to fake that connection. But whatever the case, but the larger question is, do any of the stories mirror where they would be on the map? And I don't know. I can't, besides like Hadrian's Wall being the wall, I can't think of too many things on like the Stormlands. I can't think of like the Stormlands being in any way like Wales or Ireland, depending on which map you choose, or something like that. Like the king of the kingdom being from Ireland or Wales, like, that's not the case of Britain. Like, so I don't know if there's any. It'd be interesting if there were any correlation between the map and some of the stories and plot, because we obviously know a lot comes from English history, particularly the War of the Roses, but I don't know if you can like take the map and figure it out like that. Mm-mm. Yeah. I'm here to. This is where the Glidus is giving me the business, passing this point in the conversation.
Honestly, I don't even remember if I thought Stannis was still alive. Like, maybe I thought the same.
Yeah, we talked
because it
about
was
it. I remember
so
us
dumb.
talking about it. I think you'd sent me like there was even like fake images of people like.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember there's this one Game of Thrones YouTuber. He stopped doing it. I won't say his name, but I remember he had a thumbnail. It was from the preview of the next episode in season 6. And it was Arya, and there was a guy behind her. And he was trying to clickbait that the guy behind Arya in the preview was oh fuck. What do we say to the God of Death guy? Why is his name escaping me right now? Serial
Serial.
Pharrell. Yes. He thought he was trying to clickbait that the guy behind Arya was Syrio, and then the episode comes and the scene comes. It was just the guy.
Yeah.
It was just the
Yeah.
guy. It meant nothing.
The Wight Hunt may be Aegon's idea. Aegon goes up there and loses his dragon. That's it. I mean, in order to get the white dragon and everything. Because yeah, I don't know how they're going to do the three dragons. You'd think that the three dragons would see. I would have thought that the three dragons would get split up. That's certainly how I wanted to happen in the fanfic. But like, what do you do? Like, Dany's dragons don't really get split up, other than the white dragon. But then, how do you have a dance with the dragons without one side having a dragon? Before he's killed in the show, some girl hands Littlefinger a coin and whispers something. Vala Morghulis, could this be a nod to Littlefinger being a faceless man? Is it just like does she say something? I thought she just kills him. Does she really hand him a coin in the show? Do you remember this?
It's supposed to be one of Littlefinger's spies or whatever the fuck.
Oh, really? When
What?
Littlefinger dies?
Before he dies, it's when he's trying to like sow discord in Winterfell in season 7. I mean, not to be an asshole to Dany, but I don't know where you got that, but put it back where you got that, please. For the love of God.
the Yeah, I'm just trying to like I don't know if the Littlefinger stuff when we're talking about like all the things that George could have possibly done, I don't know if the Littlefinger stuff makes any sense. Um I don't know that Bran would come in there and be all knowing and just like solve the problem for Sansa and Arya and um I mean, there was supposed to be a family conflict between Sansa and the rest, like in the original outline. So it's not that I couldn't see like the a fight between Sansa and everybody else, but I don't know if it could ever go like it was in the show. So disappointing. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that whole fucking plot is straight up George bringing back the letter from fucking season 1. This irrelevant letter. What's the Kinvara's boobs were George's idea. Does Kinvara have good? How good are Kinvara's boobs? Pretty good boobs. They're like they're straight up like German bindle like kind of thing going on. You know. The Lord of Light is keeping those up. Yeah. Okay. Um Oh, my friend working in the US government got the 5 points by Monday midnight email. Are you able to open or share your view on it? That's proper. They're proper scared to be fired. Um, so we were directed not to respond to it, but it's scary. It's so the email is meant to obviously traumatize people, but the email itself doesn't have the threat. So Elon Musk made this threat over X saying we're going to send out an email and you gotta let's say what you were doing last week, and if you don't, we're going to take that as meaning you resign. Now, of course, like there's no way like you could like imagine like sending a contract to someone being like, okay, send this to me back in 24 hours, and if you don't respond, I'm going to take this as a signing of the contract. Like that would never hold up, right? Like it would never fucking hold up. So it's a little plus the threat isn't even in the email. The threat is on X. So you don't have to respond to the email. But the question is like, what is he even doing? What is he hoping to do with that? I don't know. He's probably just trying to traumatize people, and that's the end of it, is just to like troll them and try to cause pain. That's probably the goal. Some people wonder like maybe he could search through all the emails looking for DEI buzzwords or something. Like last week, I had this meeting about like, diversity, and it's like, haha, caught you, But like, keep in mind that so many government employees don't check their government email that much. Like, it's not like a TSA screener like has a government email that he's checking every day. Like, he'd be like, "What did you do last week?" I fucking did my job as a TSA screener. Like, what do you fucking job? Do I need 5 bullet points? So this particular one, though, this is kind of like the beginning of the end, because this is. I've been recently feeling a little more confident. Like all of this is horrible stuff, but the fact that that Kash Patel like immediately is like, don't respond. Like, and everybody's like, whoa, we had an option of not responding to Doge. Oh, maybe we shouldn't have been responding to them ever. Maybe we shouldn't have been doing anything with them ever, considering that they're illegal and Elon Musk is not a government employee and all these sorts of things. Like when he sent the fork in the road email, like a lot of people reported that as spam because it seems like spam, and no one thought that email probably isn't legal, and those agreements probably aren't legal. So we have, they're most certainly not legal. The question is, will anybody do anything by it? So, I don't know. I can't, if you want to put your 5 points of what you did, there's no way they have the manpower to look at specificity on it. If you want to respond and say, this is what I did, and just like, just put like bullet 1, worked on a report, bullet 2, like organized with my team, like keep it completely general. What can he do with that? So, if you want to respond, it doesn't matter, but I wouldn't put anything too detailed in there. But I don't think it means anything. I think this was a big failure for him in that he was trying to flex and scare people, and he made himself look really powerless because all the head of the agencies were like, don't respond. And it's like, oh, actually, I have no power. The emperor has no clothes.
That's a good point. They don't have the resources to look through all of the thousands of emails. Like the Doge employees are a bunch of Gen Zs with the attention span of a fucking
22-year-old
fly.
like Nazis. What a bunch of 22-year-old Nazis. Like they can't look through like 2 million emails. There's 2 million federal employees. Like they're gonna look through 2 million emails? No. Maybe it's
I didn't think of that. Like he's just looking for buzzwords. I didn't think of that. That's a good point.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But like I say, I think the main reason was a flex to make everybody like scared. Like that was the point. But what could you do? But yeah, it's yeah. Do you think Ramsay will be eaten by his hounds like on the show? Call back to Arya at Harrenhal. Could Jaqen have skin change the dog? There's a little bit. Ramsay getting eaten by his hounds, like keep in mind that's what he does to the women in his life that he hunts. So him being eaten by his own hounds is a little fitting. And I guess they mentioned him having his girlfriend fed to the hounds in the show, but was him? Did they ever mention it? I can't remember if in the show they mentioned him feeding women to hounds. So I don't know.
Yes, he does a whole hunt with Miranda, and because Miranda got jealous of the other girl.
No, fair enough. Okay. So, I mean, I could see that being George. Seems ironic and all. I know. So, yeah, I've never liked Jaime's redemption as killing Cersei. Yeah, no, there's a little bit of like violence against women, and everybody's like, I want Jaime to strangle Cersei to death. Yeah, like that's not. No, it's not. There's some weirdness in that, right? But yeah, I just don't. That doesn't seem Jaime's personality at all. Like the whole thing is like Tyrion has those thoughts, and those are dark thoughts, and he's going down a dark path. But that's not Jaime, So, please clarify black stones. Your next chapters may have it. Fused stones is either Valyrian or an older, plain style based on the High Tower, where it is basalt, mokalan, and oily stone, Toad Isle. So George definitely has written and rewritten and retconned what black stones are. And in fact, even the black oily stone is mostly of the World of Ice and Fire thing. So it's like Elio in there. Because when in those previous versions of, so there are other versions of the A Feast for Crows prologue. You'll hear people talk, like G-Stuff did an analysis. You can read them. They're online. There's at least the long prologue, but there's a rosy prologue, there's a long prologue, there's a short prologue. Anyway, in the long prologue, George wrote a description of the High Tower himself, which included stuff on the black stones. And he mentions it as possibly Valyrian fused stone, as in the same black stone that Dragonstone is made of. Though the Maesters argue about this. This is, I think, changed in the World of Ice and Fire to be black oily. Let me make sure of that. Let me checking the search here. What happens if I put in black oily? What do I get? Nothing. What do I put in if I put in oily? It's not there. Let's see. If I put in High Tower, I'm going to get too many things. 47 results. No. I need fucking description of the goddamn High Tower itself. Here we go. The Wall and Beyond, the Vale, the Iron Isles, the Westerlands. Come on, give me the Reach. The High Tower with its great beacon, the tallest tower in the known world. Shouldn't there be something about Battle Island or something? Here we go. Battle Island. The stony island where the High Tower stands is known as Battle Isle, even to our oldest records. But why? Battles were fought. Even more enigmatic is the fortress of black stone that dominates the isle. For most of recorded history, this monument edifice had served the foundation, yet for certainty it predates the upper for thousands of years. Oh, they don't even say oily in so I guess there wasn't a contradiction. And then he says that some people think it was Valyrian construction. Okay. Oh, wow. So if we're going with, and again, this has all been changed because obviously the prologue of A Feast for Crows doesn't have it, but if we're going with what George wrote, the High Tower's base is Valyrian fused stone, not black oily stone or basalt. Basalt like Moat Cailin, or oily stone like the weird items that we find around the world. It may be that Elio and George decided to keep it black by itself to keep the mystery open, to connect it maybe to the oily stones. But oh man, now I'm on a there should be an award every live stream of who puts Preston on the biggest like tangent, like
There's an award. They get banned.
Puts him on the biggest
rabbit hole.
That was the word. Thank you. Who sends Preston down the biggest rabbit hole is gets an award. But this is it, I think. Where is it? Because now I'm gonna Black of Night. Black. Where's the fucking? I'm looking at the long prologue right now. Here it is. Yep. Okay. All right. This is the long prologue, an original, a previous version of the prologue for A Feast for Crows. It says here, 3 castles. Oh, I'm sorry. 3 castles on top of Battle Hill instead of Battle Isle. 3 castles piped one atop the other. Then a sept, 2 drum towers, a watchtower, and a beacon was how Aleros described it. The base of the high tower was a colossal square of fused black stone with walls 50 feet thick and 100 feet high. Marwan the Mage claimed that it was the remains of an ancient Valyrian fortress. Archmaester Periston said that giants had raised it. The small folk named Bran the Builder. A second keep sat atop the first, its gray granite walls supported by massive buttresses. The third tier was another of the same, smaller still. The fourth was the Lord's Sept, a 7-sided temple of green marble with windows of leaded glass. The upper tiers were cylindrical. Atop them all, 800 feet above the river, blazed the iron beacon that guided seafarers up Whispering Sound. Okay, so I should say that I pushed it a little far to say that it was positively Valyrian fused stone. It's fused black stone. And our first explanation is that it's Valyrian, but other people say it's not. For instance, giants raising it is very much like the black stones of Moat Cailin, and small folk named Bran the Builder, though it's nothing. But there's no oily stones at this point. Oily stone is a complete invention of the world of Ice and Fire. So take what you want from it. I mean, in the world of Ice and Fire, it's just black stone. It's super old, which makes people think of the black oily stone, but it doesn't say that it's an oily stone. It says that it's a fused stone, which points more to the Valyrian, but it doesn't say it's specifically Valyrian. There might be fused black stone that is not the oily stone. But what was George thinking? I don't know. Actually, World's Ice and Fire uses the same language. The fused black stone of it suggest Valyria. but plain unadorned. So he does. They do mention that it's fused stone. Fused black stone resembling Valyrian citadels. This is the 5 forts. Anyway, there seems to be, if we're talking about 5 forts and other stuff, they're using the black fused stone, but it's not necessarily oily. So I don't know. It's just fused. Anyway, I hope I didn't enlighten anything. I'm just.
Hey, by the way, do me a favor, because the guy here says, please clarify Blackstones. Your next chapters may have it. Do me a favor in regards to your fanfic. Feel free to disregard it, but I think you'll agree with me when I say sometimes mysteries are more fun being left as mysteries than being resolved.
Yes, right. George is just making these mysteries, and he never plans on resolving them.
Well, according to Elio, to him, it's just color. So it's just not only that, but do you remember Trey gave us the link to that one woman who wrote one of the first like complete Ice and Fire fan fictions out there? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And if you went into her fan fiction, I'm not saying it was bad, but it was kind of like she was going by the numbers, just answering like every single possible thing. And sometimes some of these plot points, there's just no answers for it. It should be left up in the air because it's more fun that way.
Right.
So, Oily Blackstone, I would say, should be one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the old world is a mystery. But I guess I brought up the long prologue. All the information from that long prologue is in the World of Ice and Fire, that it was black fused stone. So what does it mean? I don't know. Is it oily or is it not? Is it Valyrian or is it not? We don't know. Visiting Barcelona and then Rome. Any advice, suggestions? I mean, obviously, there's certain things you have to see when you're in Barcelona. Like, you've got to go to the La Sagrada Familia and things like that. But I don't know. And, you're going to walk down the Ramblas and stuff like that. But I don't know. Just the food's really good in Spain. Just eat. There's so much to eat. A lot of great seafood. You'll probably try paella. That's from Valencia, but like it's paella is more overrated because it takes forever and it's expensive. But there's a million things. I mean, I love octopus in Spain is my favorite. They're really good at grilling octopus, but some pulpo. Yeah, Barcelona. I mean, there's so much to do there. It's hard, but you've got to see some of the Gaudi houses that you're going to walk by. You'll see La Sagrada Familia. You'll go down the Ramblas. I don't know if you need much help from me on suggestions for that. With Rome is hard because there's so much to see and so much to do that you'll try to see it all and then you'll get exhausted. So my only advice for Rome is to, pick your battles, like pick what you want to see and go see it. Like, and then say to yourself, I'll come back to Rome some other time to see the rest. Because you can't see it all. There's too much. And if you try to see it all, you're going to be exhausted and have a horrible time. So like, obviously the Vatican is probably the first thing you want to go see. And then move on from there, and try to see other stuff later. But near Rome is Pisa. You can go see the Leaning Tower. I had a great time in Pisa only because if you actually stay in Pisa, like you don't just. Most people go to Pisa for like half an hour, see the tower, and then leave. If you actually stay in Pisa, like the people in Pisa are really nice, and they're like, what are you doing here? Like they don't actually get that many travelers because no one's like sticks around. So like when you can actually like have a really nice time there because they're really welcoming. So I don't know. It's don't try to do too much because there is too much. There is way too much to see in Rome. Do not try to see it all, but focus on the Vatican first, and then move on from there. Then you can see, the Colosseum or whatever. But certain places you don't need to see. You don't need to see Circus Maximus because there's nothing there. Okay. What else has been going on with you, Carmine? I was in DC for a week. It was cold.
Wait, you're not in America anymore?
No, I'm back in the DR. But I was in America for a week.
Yeah, it's been a little cold here, but it won't be for too long. Next couple of days, it's going to be in the 50s. Fahrenheit, by the way, for our European friends.
Fahrenheit? How do you spell that? No one knows. Did you see that skit?
Yeah.
It's very well written, though poorly acted, but it was really... Football, a sport we use our hand, where we throw around a ball with the hands. So there's no kicking in football. There's a little kicking. Please don't kill my boy Davos in the fanfic. Not anytime soon. He'll be around for a while. We need his POV. A lot of these characters are keeping around because we need their POVs. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on with Davos because Jon Con is going to have Davos's wife in his possession, and that'll be interesting. Not to mention, we need his eyes to look at the giants who are going around the wall, the mammoths, all the stuff that's going on in Eastwatch. There's so much at Eastwatch with regards, Pip and Gren and all the dropped plots that we joke about like the N-worlders that like who are in a Clash of Kings, who get sent to the wall, Alardim, all sorts of people. They've got to make it. Hillary was pretty clever keeping her own mail. If you ever read, there was an Inspector General report on the Hillary email thing. And what they found is that when you look back at other secretaries of state, they all kind of did the same thing. They was all against policy. She was definitely violating policy, but everybody else was violating policy too. So it was kind of a boring answer to it all, but it was like regular normal procedure for people to have their own email servers. Other secretaries of state had their own email servers too. So it was of course a lot of hoopla over nothing. Hillary's emails. I mean, think about it today, man. I mean, payments to porn stars. Like where are we today? Crazy idea, trying to overthrow the U.S. government January 6th. What if Ashara was Rhaegar's paramour, and when he crowned Lyanna at the tourney, she retaliated by banging Brandon? I suppose a lot of people don't, but Ned doesn't think that's necessarily Rhaegar's personality. That's the big thing I would say. I mean, granted, like, what does Ned know? But I believe the exact quote is he all of a sudden started thinking about Rhaegar Targaryen and wondered if he was the type to visit brothels. And right, is that it? Yeah. This is this weird. All these things that don't really make any sense. But okay, we'll go back to this very nonsensical passage from A Game of Thrones. Okay. He says, there was no answer Ned Stark could give to that but a frown. For the first time in years, he found himself remembering Rhaegar Targaryen. He wondered if Rhaegar had frequented brothels. Somehow he thought not. Pretty weird that Rhaegar, like, he hasn't been thinking about Rhaegar in years. I mean, if this guy is so connected to his sister's death, you'd think he'd think about Rhaegar every fucking day. Or if Rhaegar is Jon's dad, he'd be thinking about Rhaegar every fucking day. You'd think like Ned would be thinking about Rhaegar every fucking day. Like what? Like why isn't he thinking about Rhaegar? Like what? Like who? Jon Khan's thinking about Rhaegar every fucking day. Barristan Selmy's thinking about Rhaegar every fucking day. Dany is thinking about Rhaegar every fucking day. Why is Ned not thinking? This is a guy who like kidnapped his sister and possibly fathered, you know, the bastard that he's raising in Winterfell. The whole problem between him and his wife that's causing all these issues. And for the first time in years, you know, he's thinking about Rhaegar. Also, the fact that like, not only that, for the first time in years, he found himself thinking about Rhaegar Targaryen. He thought about Rhaegar Targaryen in Eddard 8. And he thought about Rhaegar Targaryen in Eddard 7. And he thought about Rhaegar Targaryen in Eddard 4. And he thought about Rhaegar Targaryen in Eddard 3. And he thought about Rhaegar Targaryen in Eddard 2. And he thought about Rhaegar Targaryen in Eddard 1. But somehow, for the first time in fucking years, he's thinking about Rhaegar Targaryen. Oh, George. Oh, George. I mean, he specifically suddenly, uncomfortably, he found himself recalling Rhaegar Targaryen, 15 years dead. Yet Robert hates him as much as ever. For the first time in years, he found himself remembering Rhaegar Targaryen. Was there like a 3-year time skip between Eddard 8 and Eddard 9? Oh, God. Whatever. But nonetheless, taking that passage for what it's worth, it doesn't seem like Rhaegar is the kind of guy that would have paramours. Or listen to Paramore. He seems like, you know, emo by himself kind of dude or whatever. You know, what is he doing with a paramour? I mean, that paramour is what, like, you know, Oberyn Martell's got a paramour, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Like this guy, they're Nazis. They literally fired and then rehired a kid because he was a Nazi. Like this like happened. Like literally fucking fired and rehired a dude who was a Nazi. He's on the Doge team. I mean, Elon Musk literally gave a Sikh Heil. Like, I don't know. Oh, man. Are we getting to the end? Here's what happened to Benjen. YouTube channel Lost in Westeros vid. Where is Benjen? Clears up Corran as well. You're welcome. Are you saying that Corran Halfhand is Benjen? That's a tough one. Shouldn't Jon? All right, let's see. Where Carmine, are you gonna watch this? Where's Benjen?
No.
Let me see here. Oh my God, there's so many videos about where Benjen Stark is. Oh gosh, you know who has a video that's called Where is Benjen Stark? I'll give you one guess, Carmine.
I'm sorry?
Who has got a video called Where is Benjen Stark?
Oh, do I have a video about that? Oh shit! Yeah, I remember that. Oh my god, it has 2 million views. Oh my god, when did I
Oh
make
my
that?
god, that's impressive, dude.
Oh,
That
thanks,
is
buddy.
bigger than any video I've ever made.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's got to be lost in Westeros. 2 million. It's probably still paying you money, dude. Probably still paying you $5 a month. Where are the seven houses? Benjen Stark. Benjen is dead. What'd be funny? Okay. Do you ever watch Boy Meets World, Carmine?
Yes, I have seen Boy Meets World.
So you know how in the last episode of Boy Meets World, at graduation is the one character.
Is this about like his best friend and the teacher?
No. It's there's a Boy Meets World character named shit. He's like the nerdy kid. Like is it like Stinkus or something? What is it?
What about him?
Well, he's one of these characters that disappears in early seasons, and they just didn't. And then all of a sudden, he's in the finale, and they're like, "Where have you been?" And he's like, "I've been here the whole time, like on the other side of school. Like I just didn't have classes with you guys." And they're like, "Oh," and like so there was like no mystery. Like everybody's like, "Whatever happened to that kid?" No, he was there the whole time. He just didn't have classes with them, and that was it. And that was the joke. I've been here the whole time. Oh. Anyway, Benjen, same deal. He's been there the whole time. Like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like he returned to the Shadow Tower and he's been serving here. Sorry that I didn't send you a message, Jon. that your uncle returned. I sent you a raven. Did it get lost? Yes, it got lost. Oh. Sorry. He returned like 2 books ago. What do you guys think of Wight hunting being a Bran Thread Crow rescue mission in the book? I don't know how Bran is going anywhere. Or are you talking about other people going up to rescue Bran instead of the Wight? So I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Bran is going to be escaping the tree with a hold the door incident. Like I think that's pretty firm. And then I don't think Bran himself would be doing any sort of like rescue mission of trying to get Wights. So I don't think. Yeah, no, I don't think it. Yeah. Jesus, man, is Will Wood is really? Are you trying to get banned, Will Wood? Man, oh man, why don't you debate David Lightbringer? Too scared, you genocide supporter. I mean, I hope you're joking because David Lightbringer praised Trump for his Gaza policy recently, even though I fucking told him before all of this that Kamala believed in the 2-state solution. Trump does not believe in the 2-state solution. He doesn't believe in a Palestinian state. And here we fucking are. Like, trying to say that there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans with regards to Israel-Palestine policy, that it's significant. And here we are. You know, Trump claiming that he wants to expel all Gazans and commit like ethnic cleansing and turn Gaza into a resort and give Netanyahu everything he wants. Oh my God. Like, was David Lightbringer wrong and fucking really wrong? Fucking celebrating Kamala's loss, celebrating Trump's win, and then praising Trump for his fucking Gaza policy. And
Oh, and
then,
you forgot retweeting Candace Owens.
oh right, retweeting Candace Owens, fantastic.
But by the way, in case you haven't
He should be
noticed,
very proud of that fucking shit.
this Will Wood guy is one of his buddies. He's upset that I was calling him out on social media for being a fuckhead. So a couple of people are in here from his fandom brigading. Yeah, I don't think David wants me to release. I don't think his fandom wants me to release the screenshots of him texting a girl half his age. So I would calm down if I was him.
I mean, it's just like it's of the things that David Lightbringer is wrong about. It's fucking Gaza because he doesn't fucking know anything about Gaza. He didn't fucking know anything. Like when I brought up the fucking 2-state solution, 1-state solution, like actually it's 2-state solution, no state solution, that like prior to the election, he didn't know what I was fucking talking about. It was crickets. He virtue signals about the fucking Gaza issue, about Palestinians. And when he hasn't done any fucking research, he doesn't know anything about the fucking issue. Like this is something that I've literally spent like years of my fucking life on. And he fucking is like tweeting shit. Oh my God. Like thinking he's a fucking expert, thinking he has some sort of moral high ground. Well, the fucking guy he supported fucking wants to commit, ethnic cleansing on the Gazans and kick them out and make them all refugees, which is what I
to be fair. Let's be very fair here. David never said he supported Trump. He just was wanting Kamala to lose and then praised Trump for winning because he thought Trump would do a ceasefire. Yeah, so not really a supporter, but kind of a supporter.
Not really thinking very far ahead. Like when you think like ceasefire is all we need is a ceasefire, and that fucking solves the Middle East. One ceasefire is gonna fucking solve the Middle East. How many fucking ceasefires have there been? You think the problem goes away with a ceasefire? Like Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. Like the Palestinians need a state. They need a state. They don't need a fucking ceasefire. They need a state. They need fucking human rights. A state. They need their own fucking state. Trump doesn't believe that they deserve a state. He wants to make them into refugees. He said that consistently. He said it consistently before getting elected. It's just, but he doesn't like researched or paid attention to the issue ever. God, it just fucking pisses me off so fucking much. What if he's so fucking wrong on it. And it's just shown it's just embarrassingly wrong today. Like embarrassingly wrong. Like he should be like ashamed that we're in this fucking situation. And he was happy. He was happy that Trump fucking won. Like, oh my God. Like he should have just if he just said you know what? I'm sorry. I was fucking wrong. It was my bad.
That's not going to happen.
He won't. He's not. He's not. He's going to fucking double down. And be and claim the Democrats are just as bad or some bullshit like that. That's clearly wrong. Oh my God.
Well, David not knowing anything seems to be on brand for him. He doesn't know anything about ice and fire. He doesn't know anything about the Gaza situation.
His number one fucking joy in life is still being on fucking X, the fucking Nazi, the fucking Nazi app. Like your life is on a Nazi app filled with a bunch of fucking Nazis that exists just to push out Nazi propaganda. Like, oh my fucking God. Like you're the king there pushing your pro-Trump anti-Kamala message. Like, great. Aren't you fucking proud?
Let me also clear up one thing because I saw someone confused in the comments, and I don't want to mischaracterize the guy as much as I dislike him. He hasn't been texting kids, but David is pushing 50, and he was caught texting a 19-year-old, which is still very creepy, but that's just me.
Of course, Mel needs the finger bones for the glamour. How else is she supposed to seduce Stannis for their shadow babies? Oh, is this about the the finger bones turn Stannis on. Like, so like Stannis can't actually get it up unless he's like got the finger bones around. Why does this go to such a weird place? We were just talking about Palestine. What the fuck? Now I'm talking about finger bones. And Mel. Oh my. That's the point, though. He hadn't thought of Rhaegar in years. Nerd is in denial. That's the thing, is something's going on, like something's loopy with the only way that makes any sense, like the Ned scene, is that like there's something loopy going on with his mind, that he's insane, or somebody's messing with his head with a glass candle and that kind of shit, you know, like Tower of Joy vision and all of that. Like something's weird going on up there. Like how, in the same realm of like, how can Theon not recognize his sister? You know, like that kind of, or why is Sansa remember kissing the Hound and stuff like that? There's something screwy going up there. How can he not remember thinking about Rhaegar when he just was remembering Rhaegar? You knew that had 2 million views. I actually was really surprised. I was surprised at a 2 million view. How many is that? Is that one of your biggest, Carmine? 2 million.
One of them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I actually did forget that. Like, yeah, it's been so long. It's been literally so long.
Oh Jesus! Now I've got on the response to this. Oh yeah, it's half her age, equivalent to underage. Yeah. Trump is Joffrey. I think Trump has hurt more people than Joffrey ever did. Oh gosh. Okay, let's get past all of this. He's pushing 50. It's all right, man. You know, it's all right to be pushing 50. I'm pushing 50.
But you're not messaging 19-year-old girls.
Is, you know, no, it's true.
Right, but you're not messaging 19-year-old girls like David Lightbringer is. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, please tell us weird things you found while doing audits. Well, I can't really talk about like my job with state. I mean, I can talk about like previous stuff with Homeland, maybe. Oh, like my first audit, my first job as an auditor, I started at Homeland Security, and I was put on a project where we were looking at the terrorist watch list, and the terrorist watch list, they were dealing with a lot of different problems. One of them was that they had thrown this like drug cartel database onto it, and so now like it ballooned it into twice the size. So everyone was like, all these people that were related to people in drug cartels, like somebody's cousin or something, is like in this list, and it was slowing everything down. But anyway, I go to this terrorist screening center, and I remember being there, and they had all the hits that day that were coming in on flights. And just because you get a hit doesn't mean you're a terrorist. You might have a similar name or a lot of other things where you kind of get hit just in case, you know? And so there was one pile, and it was the Muhammad Ali no date of birth pile. And so Muhammad Ali no date of birth, country of origin Pakistan. There's this pile of 5, and they're like, oh yeah, about 5 Muhammad Ali no date of birth, or January 1st, sometimes no date of birth, or no, you know, because when you don't know, they'll just put in January 1st. Is there, and they're like, yeah, no, sorry, Muhammad Ali, no date of birth, is on the terrorist watch list, and so every day about 5 or 6 like Muhammad Ali's get stopped. Like every time they get off a plane, these get, they got to stop and be like, were you in this, this guy? And they're like, no, okay, it's the wrong guy. But that's just one of the weird things. Like, oh, well, the terrorist watch list says Muhammad Ali, no date of birth, and it's like 5 dudes a day. But yeah. First time you thought of him on a personal level? Trying to think about that one. Because like what was the previous? On a personal, see, they should have clarified. I could, if we're looking for an excuse, that maybe it was on some sort of personal level, like what he was like as a person. I suppose you could say something like that, because the previous things are all about like Rhaegar historically. Okay. Or like the actual kidnapping. I guess like what his personality, like that's what it meant, like what his personality was like. It's a workable theory. I suppose we can let the passage pass. Thinking about what his personality was like. He would remember Rhaegar every time he sees Jon. That is different to hypothetical Rhaegar behavior. It will probably make sense when we learn more. Well, we're never going to learn more, so I guess it'll never make sense. Maybe in the fanfic. All right. And now it is getting late for me, so I will finish up here. And hold on, makes sense. I get this. Carmine, thank you for being with me the whole time here. I know you've got...
Yeah, no problem, brother.
I know.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, man. What's the biggest change you would do in previous books in hope of solving the quagmires with the Winds of Winter? Oh, fuck. So a lot of people say like abandoning the 5-year gap was a problem. I don't know if it's that. I'm trying to think like how I would have like say I'm back in Storm, and how do I fix everything going forward? Because I do kind of like, I really love like the Ironborn Dornish explosion of the story. I really do love that. I honestly think that's removing Jon, Tyrion, and Dany as characters, like from the story, and getting back to them later, would probably like solve a lot of the issues. Even though the problem is that like these are like everybody's favorite character is Jon, right? So, or Tyrion. So it'd just be. And I guess A Feast for Crows is kind of that, right? Let's forget about these characters for a while and then we'll come back to them. But then we came back to them and they wrote way too much on them. I think it would have been, I think that probably would have been it. Would be, there's certain things that are weird about the previous books that don't cause too many problems. Like the Corrin Halfhand story doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't really cause any problems. It just exists. Arya wandering the Riverlands and meeting way too many psychopaths doesn't really, it doesn't ruin the story. It's just like, why are we spending so much time on Amory Lorch, and the Mountain's Men and the Brave Companions? I guess you didn't need to have like the Brave Companions return. You didn't need all of these people to return. We probably could have been fine had Rorg, Biter, and the Brave Companions never been seen again. Like we didn't need them. We didn't need them in to have such a prominent role in Storm or in Feast or any of that. I think it was just like letting certain plot threads die, but he just won't. He just won't. He loves every plot thread. So I guess that's it. But I would have reduced the role of the Jon, Tyrion, and Dany, and because Jon, Tyrion, and Dany are the people that have been like causing him the trouble. If you just reduce their role, I think he would have solved things. Even though it's everybody's favorite. If Doran's greatest accomplishment was keeping them out of the War of the Five Kings, what does he think of stopping Dorne's secession after rebellion? Obviously I've thought about Dorne more than any human being should. And so, I mean, I kind of think like somehow he thinks that like his plan is going to somehow win it all for Dorne. Arion sitting the Iron Throne. And I don't think he wants secession because like Dorne is a desert and the water is running out. It's a crappy place. Like the Dornish deserve better and they deserve more. If it were as simple as like isolation and everything is fine, but for Dorne, but it's not. Like the wells are running dry in Dorne. They have to move. They have to do something. Unless maybe he thinks the others are going to bring rain to Dorne. I don't know. Cool the earth. You ever see those conspiracy theorists who think that like Russia is like dumping greenhouse gases into the air because they want the earth to warm so Russia will have like more usable land? Yeah, Dany should leave Miriam and dance. Probably yes. Yeah. Didn't know he was a Trump supporter. Yeah. Yeah, George should have cut the 5-year gap to 2 years. Probably, the big thing is that he was thinking like what didn't make sense about the 5-year gap. There's two things about it. He had already written these Ironborn chapters, and he didn't want to waste them because he liked them. But also, he thought that the Dornish reaction to Oberyn's death couldn't wait. It couldn't wait. Like they would need to react now. There would need to be some sort of reaction to it all. And so that's why he started writing these Dorne and Ironborn stuff, is that, he wanted to talk about Euron and what's been going on with the Iron Isles, and he wanted to talk about the Dornish reaction to Oberyn. So like they became this like this prologue that he was going to write with all of these different points of view, like 7 different points of view. And then he would jump forward 5 years, but it didn't work out that way. So I don't know if the length of the 5-year gap can solve it, because he needs that immediate reaction to Oberyn's death for Dorne. Because what else is? I mean, it's already weird enough that the fucking Dornish host has been sitting in the Boneway for years. I don't know what they can be doing. All right. Thank you all. This is but one last thing, like I do not care about view counts, dude. Like who cares?
That person made their YouTube account 3 minutes ago, so it's probably
it's probably what's his face who I banned. This is a guy like, do you think I did the 1,000 Worlds book club? Do you think I do the fanfic because I fucking care about that shit? Like, Oh my god. Do you think I care about view counts, dude? I do not care. Oh my
Well,
god.
to be fair, Preston, let's be real here. Your success doesn't have an asterisk next to it. You didn't need In Deep Geek and Quinn's ideas to hold your hand. So,
Yeah, well. Anyway, it's just it just pisses me off. Like, I mean, anybody that could be praising like Trump's return to office is just like there's no fucking excuse for it. I mean, if you want me to also trash what Nazi Val and some other people, she's no longer in the community though, right? She hasn't done a video in years, but Nazi Val is she is but fun. But man, fucking supporting Trump should have some consequences. This last thing, Craster's grand. That's just an error. It doesn't the Sam Craster's grandson thing. It's just George fucked up. There's no making sense of that. But anyway, that's true. 700 people for a live stream talking about a non-existent book is pretty good anyway. Yeah, thanks. Any theory video anytime soon? I don't know. I was thinking about. I mean, I'm trying to publish my book this week, and then maybe get into some Dunkin' Egg. Maybe I'll do something on the long prologue. I'm not sure, but I'm also focusing really on Asha. But yeah, Nazi Val. There was a channel called Because Geek. She hasn't done anything in years, but like, yeah, she was like secretly a Trump supporter. This little Nazi Val. Yeah, these secret Trump supporters, man. You don't think there'd be that many around, talking about like sci-fi and fantasy, like one of the most like liberal left-wing like genres. But no, for some reason these right-wingers, but no wonder the Preston shits on the Bible all day. The Bible has 7 billion copies sold, and Preston hasn't even sold one copy yet. Yeah, that's true. You got me, man. Yeah. Right. No, the son, like I've gone like I've tried to make sense of that line from Feast, where he says that it's like Mance's son and Craster's grandson, and you're like, what are you fucking talking about? Does that, I mean, that means that Dala was somehow related to Gilly, and like all these sorts of things that you're just like, how does that make any sense? Or like is Mance an escaped baby from Craster's Keep? Like, it makes no sense. It's just a brain fart on George's part. It makes no sense. The line from Feast. Yeah. But yeah. All right, Carmine, any last things before I end it? I know you're like, you just started.
No. You've gone on for a fairly long time, homie. I know it's like what, 12 there for you?
12:30. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much it. We put out a nice Patreon exclusive podcast. You uploaded on your Patreon, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. We uploaded a nice Patreon exclusive conversation talking about the old blurbs that you guys should definitely check out. I think it's a really cool conversation, and yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for everybody for chilling with me and talking about random stuff. I'll see you guys later.